Chapter 327. Jun Changshao returned to the remote forest. He wanted to rob the cultivators who robbed others and take back their interspatial rings. Euphemistically. If you are heartless to others, I will be unjust to you. Bang! Bang! In the previous area, the few robbers were already fighting with the small group of cultivators in the forest. Because of the disparity in strength, the small group was at a disadvantage. Shua! Jun Changshao rushed over with the cloud-treading steps. He snatched the weapons of the robbers with his bare hands and kicked them to the ground. They were only martial disciples. It was easy to kill them. Suddenly, an expert helped them get out of their predicament. The eyes of the small group of cultivators were filled with gratitude. Little friend, the leader cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for your help." Jun Chang smiled and said, "Seeing injustice on the road, we should draw our swords to help. This is what Jianghu people should do." Everyone was in awe. These days, it was rare to see a chivalrous person. The leader wanted to say something, but sect leader Jun said, "There are ferocious beasts here. It is not good to stay here. Leave quickly. Thank you for your kindness. Goodbye." The leader hurriedly left with the other members. After they left, Jun Changshao stepped on the body of the robbers who were pretending to be dead. He said coldly, "Hand over your interspatial rings and I will spare your lives." If the cultivators who left heard this, they would definitely break down. "Big brother. Are you trying to rob them or are you trying to rob them?" I will hand them over." The few cultivators realized that their lives were in danger. They hurriedly handed over their interspatial rings. There were quite a few of them. There were more than 10 of them. It seemed that they had robbed quite a few people. Scram! Sect leader Jun wanted the interspatial rings. Since he got them, he would not kill them mercilessly. Damn it! The few cultivators covered their stomachs and ran away. They squatted under a tree angrily. "Big brother." One of them said, "We can't take this lying down." "Damn it." The leader said angrily, "That gigolo dared to rob our blood wolf mercenary group. He must be tired of living." There were many forces on the Falling Star continent, such as clans, sects, and even an organization known as a mercenary group. In the beginning, when I participated in the Xuanhuan boss writing competition, I wanted to write a novel where the main character was the leader of a mercenary group and brought a group of subordinates to various dungeons to fight monsters. Later on, he chose the sect leader style, and thus the current Iron Bone Jing sect was born. Am I proud? The mercenary groups on the Starfall continent were similar to the mercenary groups on Earth. However, they also needed a large amount of martial arts resources. Therefore, hunting ferocious beasts in the forest became their main means of livelihood. Of course, most of the members of the mercenary group were rogue cultivators, and they were not as professional as the sects, so their overall strength was not high. At present, the 3 most well-known mercenary groups could only compete with the 5th-rate sects in terms of level. The Blood Wolf mercenary group mentioned by the warrior was quite powerful. It had close to 1,000 members, and the cultivation of the upper echelons was also very strong. They were active in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range all year round. This mercenary group not only focused on hunting ferocious beasts, but they also focused on robbing rogue cultivators. It could be said that they were the overlords of the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. "Doggy," the boss said hatefully, "contact the people nearby and gather them together. We can't let that guy escape." "Yes." The subordinate called Doggy took out something similar to a firecracker and raised it high. A stream of light flew up. Jun Changshao, who had just left, raised his head and saw the stream of light flashing through the gaps between the trees. He muttered, "A cloud-piercing arrow, and thousands of troops come to meet me?" He ignored it and continued to look through the dozen or so spatial rings that he had just obtained. Although sect leader Jun had just entered, he had obtained a lot of crystal cores, herbs, and ores from the 2 groups of robbers. Unfortunately, there were no wind crystal cores. There were also no herbs and ores suitable for refining pills and equipment. Sigh. Jun Changshao said, I can only find them myself. Behind them, the members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group in other areas gathered after seeing the signal. In a moment, 50 to 60 people had gathered. Little Ding. One person said in a deep voice, what happened? Vice Captain Zhang. The one called Little Ding held his stomach and said, a guy robbed us. Mercenary groups were usually divided by captains. Each team had a captain and a vice captain, and there were fixed members. Vice Captain Zhang was the vice captain of the third team of the Blood Wolf mercenary group. He was relatively strong and had already reached the cultivation of a third-grade martial master. The few people who were robbed by Jun Changshao, as well as the martial artists who gathered here, were all members of the third team. Vice Captain Zhang said angrily, how dare he rob my Blood Wolf mercenary group? Lead the way. He said coldly, go find that guy. Little Ding said, Captain, second brother, and third brother haven't arrived yet. Do you want to wait for them? That kid was strong, so he naturally wanted to bring more people to let him understand that there was a price to pay for helping others. Captain and the others should have entered deeper areas. Let's chase after them first, lest that guy runs away. Vice Captain Zhang said. All right. Little Ding hurriedly led the way and chased after the direction Jun Changshao left. It's the Blood Wolf mercenary group. Why are there so many people gathered? Each and every one of them looks fierce. Could it be that someone offended them? Vice Captain Zhang and his men galloped through the forest with great momentum, which immediately alarmed many small teams. Jun Changshao returned the way he came and continued to move deeper. As long as a fierce beast rushed over, he would kill it and take its crystal core. Not long after, he came to the area where the three people were killed just now. At this moment, Vice Captain Zhang and dozens of his men caught up. Little Ding pointed at Jun Changshao and said angrily, it's him. Shua! 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 The members of the mercenary group rushed over and surrounded Jun Changshao. Each and every one of them was glaring fiercely at Jun Changshao. Vice Captain Zhang. At this moment, a member pointed at the corpse next to him and exclaimed, it's Captain. What? Vice Captain Zhang walked over and recognized the corpse at a glance. It was really the captain. It turned out that the three martial artists killed by sect leader Jun were the captain of the third team of the Blood Wolf mercenary group and his two brothers. It had to be said that it was fate. Kid. Vice Captain Zhang looked over and shouted angrily, you killed them? That's right. Jun Changshao said. As soon as these words came out, the 50 to 60 members of the third team were furious. Vice Captain Zhang summoned a pair of axes and said with a murderous look, a life for a life, a debt must be paid. Although he said so, he was happy in his heart. Since the captain was dead, wouldn't he be promoted? If he got rid of the captain's murderer and went back to report to the leader, he would definitely be rewarded. Ha ha ha. Kid, you helped me so much to express my gratitude, so, go to hell. Jun Changshao didn't know what the other party was thinking, but said indifferently, your strength is not good enough, you deserve to die. There was nothing wrong with these words, and it was also very consistent with the law of the jungle. Less nonsense. Vice Captain Zhang took a step forward, and the two axes carried a strong force as he shouted angrily, give me your life. Chapter 328. Vice Captain Zhang was very happy that the captain was dead. But he definitely couldn't show it, so when he waved his axe, his face was filled with endless anger. Jun Changshao said, there's a road to heaven, but you don't take it. There's no door to hell. Swish. While speaking, he used cloud steps to get closer. What a fast speed. Vice Captain Zhang's face changed slightly. In the next second, he suddenly felt something was wrong. Not good, boom. The fist carrying a powerful force hit his abdomen faster than the axe, causing his body to bend and his eyes to bulge out. Jun Changxiao's rupturing fist was very powerful, directly breaking Vice Captain Zhang's mind and body. At that moment, he felt that he was going to die. Boom! Boom! A pair of axes fell to the ground. Vice Captain Zhang fell down dispiritedly, then vomited blood and lost his breath. As expected of a veteran mercenary who had experienced life and death, his intuition was very accurate. Vice Captain Zhang was just thinking that if he killed this guy, not only could he be promoted to captain, but he could also receive a reward from the leader. As a result, in order to express his gratitude, he had to die first. Jun Changxiao retracted his fist, his eyes full of indifference. The other party was with the three robbers. He didn't hold back at all, so he killed him with one punch. Jun Changxiao wouldn't kill the innocent. But to those who wanted to kill him, he would definitely give them a taste of their own medicine. Vice Captain Zhang. Seeing Vice Captain Zhang lying motionless on the ground with his eyes wide open, everyone suddenly realized that he was killed by a punch. That guy could kill the captain. It was easy to kill the vice captain. At that moment, the intelligence of the members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group returned. Vice Captain Zhang could have thought of it, but at that time, he was concerned about how to become a full member and how to get the reward. For a moment, his brain didn't turn around at all. The vice captain was killed. Although the members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group were still surrounding Jun Changxiao, fear had already risen in their hearts and they unconsciously retreated. Especially Xiao Ding. At this moment, his eyes were full of horror. He ordered his subordinates to release the signal to summon his companions to let that guy experience despair. He didn't expect Vice Captain Zhang to be killed in a face-to-face encounter. This was a tough one. They couldn't afford to provoke him. Xiao Ding finally realized that he kicked an iron plate. Shua! Jun Changxiao appeared in front of him with one hand on his neck. His eyes were cold as he said, "Your cheap life won't be spared twice. Don't kill, crack." Jun Changxiao exerted force with his 5 fingers and directly broke Xiao Ding's neck. Then, he threw Xiao Ding away like a piece of trash. He could have lived a good life. Not only did he get himself killed, but he also killed Vice Captain Zhang. Jun Changxiao looked at the others and said eerily, "Who wants to die?" These 3 words were domineering. Damn it! A member mustered up his courage and said, "Let's go together and hack this guy to death." All right. Although everyone was afraid of Jun Changxiao's strength, they had the advantage in numbers. They didn't believe that they wouldn't be able to kill him if they swarmed him together. Kill! Kill! More than 50 members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group poured their spiritual power into their swords and charged over in anger. Clang! The cold-edged sword was unsheathed, and sword light flashed. With a slash of the sword, more than a dozen members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group who rushed over suddenly stopped in place. Their eyes were filled with despair. Swish! Jun Changxiao shook his wrist and slashed to the side. As the sword light flashed, more than a dozen members stood still in place. The vitality in their eyes began to fade. Sizzle! After a while, more than 20 warriors' necks showed fine marks and blood splashed out. Plop! Plop! At the same time, all of them fell to the ground. When the Blood Wolf mercenary group who rushed up saw this, a chill ran from the soles of their feet to their spines. Their scalps were about to explode. Killing more than 20 people with 2 slashes was absolutely terrifying. No. This guy was too strong. They would die if they went up. The remaining members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group didn't care about revenge for the captain and vice captain. They were so scared that they fled in all directions. In an instant, there were only dozens of corpses left in this area. Blood flowed all over the ground, emitting a pungent smell. Clang! Jun Changxiao put away his sword and began to loot the bags. Soon, dozens of space rings were in his hand, and he left in a carefree manner. It could be said that killing one person in 10 steps, leaving no trace for thousands of miles. Leaving after the matter was done, hiding his merits and reputation. Oh my God, that guy dared to kill the Blood Wolf mercenary group's people. The vice captain was also killed. Look, there's the body of the captain of the third team lying next to him. Who is this guy? Isn't he afraid of the Blood Wolf mercenary group's revenge? When Jun Changshao was surrounded by the vice-captain and the others, some of the braver small teams quietly followed and witnessed the whole process. Some martial cultivators were powerful and might not be afraid of the Blood Wolf mercenary group. However, they dared to slaughter them and kill the captain. Even if they were given 10 guts, they wouldn't dare. The small team that entered the All-Beast mountain range before Jun Changshao was also among them. At this moment, their expressions were more and more interesting. Boss. Fatty's mouth twitched, that guy is really fierce. Brother Qin said solemnly, this is a ruthless character. Fortunately, we didn't offend him. The man who regarded Jun Changshao as a burden secretly rejoiced that the other party didn't fuss with him at that time. Otherwise, he would have ended up like those corpses. The Blood Wolf mercenary group had dominated the All-Beast mountain range for a long time. Today, so many of them were killed suddenly, which was unexpected. They also knew. With the cruel character of the Blood Wolf mercenary group's leader, he would never let it go. That young man in white would definitely be retaliated. Jun Changshao hoped that they would retaliate because he counted dozens of space rings on the way and obtained a lot of resources. In particular, there were 20 spirit stones in the vice-captain's ring. TSK. Jun Changshao couldn't help but sigh, the profit of robbery is really high. Unfortunately. There were a lot of resources, but none of them were what he wanted. Robbery was a fast way to make money, but to find a match, he had to look for it himself. Swish. Jun Changshao opened the map. According to the terrain, he first determined his position and then looked at the empty area between the two areas with a red line. This was an unknown area. The red line represented extreme danger. The more dangerous it is, the more valuable it is to explore. Jun Changshao followed the map's guidance and stopped at the edge of the unknown area. There was a light fog in front of him, which was incompatible with the surrounding environment. There were few footprints left on the ground, indicating that few people had set foot in it. After thinking for a while, Jun Changshao stepped in. Damn it! A martial artist who happened to pass by saw him merge into the light fog and exclaimed, that guy entered the unknown area alone. TSK. His companion said, this kind of dangerous place, even big teams don't dare to set foot in. Isn't he courting death by going in? Roar. Roar. Not long after, in the unknown area filled with light fog, there was a series of angry roars, shaking the surrounding leaves. It must have alarmed the beasts inside. From the sound, it seems that there is more than one beast. Most of the beasts in this unknown area live in groups. That kid is definitely dead. Hey, isn't it good to be alive? Why must he go in to die? Teams passed by one after another and were surprised to learn that a young man in white had entered the unknown area. Someone guessed that he might be the one who killed the members of Blood Wolf mercenary group. Hence, they stopped and discussed while resting. About 10 minutes later. In the unknown area surrounded by light fog, the roars of the beasts gradually weakened until it returned to calm. It was over. That poor guy must have been eaten until even his bones were gone. When everyone was ready to get up and set off, a martial artist exclaimed, look, someone is coming out. Swish. Swish. Everyone turned their heads in unison. In the light fog, a figure holding a sword walked out. It's him. That young man in white. Chapter 329. The unknown area was not big. It was like a small valley, and there were dozens of wild beasts in it. Their strength was around middle rank 2 or 3. When Jun Changshao walked in, he was surrounded by them. They bared their teeth and roared. Although they were not wind-type beasts, they were of high rank. Therefore, Sect leader Jun took out the elementary cold-edged sword and killed them all in a short time, obtaining more than 20 crystal cores. Their fur and bones were also taken away. Poor wild beasts. They thought they had surrounded a human, but they were surrounded by a human instead. The unknown area was not big. Jun Changshao walked around, collected the herbs and ores, and returned. The martial artists outside did not know. Seeing him walk out safe and sound, their faces were filled with disbelief. "Boss!" Fatty exclaimed, "It's that guy." Brother Qin frowned. He was shocked once again. Even a 4th or 5th rank Wuzong would not dare to enter the unknown area of the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. Not only did he enter, but he also came out safe and sound. This was unbelievable. Jun Changshao ignored the martial artists looking at him. He took out the map, locked on to another unknown area, and walked along the route. After he left, a small group mustered up the courage to enter the area shrouded in mist. Seeing the beasts' corpses everywhere, their faces stiffened. This is a brown wild beast pack. Every one of them is around middle rank 2 or 3. Oh my god, they were all killed by him in less than 15 minutes. Everyone was shocked. Who was this young man who looked like he was only 18 or 19 years old? Although they did not know who Jun Changshao was, they were sure that he was an expert. With him leading the way, they could definitely enter deeper areas. As a result, many cultivators chased after Jun Changshao, following closely behind him. There were actually several dozen of them. Brother Qin and his team followed. Soon, everyone stopped. Because Jun Changshao had entered the second unknown area. He went in again. He's really bold. I really want to follow him and see. Although the martial artists were discussing, no one dared to enter the unknown area because they knew they did not have the ability. Not long after, another roar of a ferocious beast was heard. Judging from the heavy sound, it should be a huge bear beast. Could it be a mountainback bear? Even if it's not the mountainback bear, it's definitely stronger than the mountainback bear. While everyone was discussing, Jun Changshao walked out of the unknown area, completely unscathed. The various teams were dumbfounded. Recovering from their shock, they quickly entered the uncharted lands, only to see that the ground was filled with blood. The bear's meat quality was excellent, moreover, the portion was sufficient. Jun Changshao cut it into 8 pieces and carried it away. When night fell, Jun Changshao entered 5 unknown regions one after another. He killed many high-ranked dire beasts and obtained a lot of resources. In particular, in the last unknown area, he encountered a wind element ferocious beast. Although the level of its crystal core did not match, it undoubtedly brought him hope. If they continued to search, they would definitely be able to find it. Because there were experts leading the way, the large groups following behind them were able to safely enter the region they wanted to go to, and the number of people gradually decreased. Brother Qin and the others were still there. After all, they had to go deeper into the 6th region. Jun Changshao didn't pay any attention to these people. The next morning, he set off and continued to go deeper into the 5th region. In this region, there were many dangerous places marked on the map. He chose the closest one to enter first. Roar! Roar! 2 middle rank 7 female lions pounced over. This was their territory. Naturally, they wouldn't allow humans to enter. You're courting death. Jun Changshao stepped out. Violent strength gathered in his fists and directly killed the 2 lions. Same old rules. A one-stop service of skinning, extracting meat, and digging out crystal cores. After he was done, Jun Changshao found a pool in the depths. Faint cold air lingered above it. Cold spring. He walked over and reached his hand down. He felt waves of coldness. The supplementary material for refining the middle-rank cold light sword was cold spring water. Since he found it, he would definitely take it all away. Whoosh! After a while, the bottom of the pool could be seen. Jun Changshao left with satisfaction and continued to explore the other unknown regions. Just like that, he was busy until night came. He found a clean place to rest for the night. Today's harvest was bountiful. Not only did he find enough cold spring water, but he also encountered a spider nest. After destroying it, he obtained a lot of spider silk. He had gathered enough materials for the soft silk armor. Unfortunately, he didn't encounter any wind element beasts. After automatically refining the soft silk armor, Jun Changshao took back the forging pavilion's panel and muttered, "It seems that I can only find such rare beasts in deeper regions." Munch, munch. Little Long Long was happily gnawing on a big piece of fat meat beside him. In the past 2 days, Sect leader Jun had picked a lot of high-quality beast meat for it. There would be no shortage of food for the time being. Little Long Long. Jun Changshao said, "Don't just lie there in this mountain range full of beasts. You should at least show off." Little Long Long swallowed a piece of meat. Its fiery red eyes were filled with disdain, as if it was telling its master, "The beasts here are too weak. They are not qualified for me to attack." That's true. Smashing a second-rank martial king. It was a bit degrading to bully martial disciple and martial master level beasts. Brother Qin and the others, who were resting at the back, were absolutely admiring Jun Zhang. How powerful was he to come and go freely in the unknown region? The next day, Jun Changshao continued his journey and entered the 6th region. Brother Qin and his team no longer followed him and headed in the opposite direction. They were different from the rogue cultivators of Death Valley. They were not here to pick up scraps. Instead, they came with a purpose and a plan. Plop! In an unknown region, a beast comparable to a peak martial master fell to the ground. After dealing with the corpse, Jun Changshao searched inside and obtained a lot of aged medicinal herbs and various ores. Night came. After exploring the 5 unknown regions, he obtained a lot of resources, including cold iron, and other ores for refining weapons and equipment. I still need 50 kilograms. Jun Changshao muttered, "I can refine the mid-grade cold ray sword." The 7th region. Jun Changshao entered on the 4th day. There were very few teams that could enter this place. After walking for half a day, he didn't see a single person. There were few people. There were many beasts. After walking for a few miles, Jun Changshao was attacked no less than 30 times. The attacking beasts were also very high-leveled, and some were even comparable to a first-grade wuzong. In the end, they were all sent to their deaths and crystal cores. Jun Changshao opened the map and found that there was only one unknown region marked. He couldn't help but wonder, so few. It wasn't few. The 7th region's level was too high. The map carver didn't dare to risk his life and could only record the places he knew. In other words, there were still many dangerous regions that were not marked on the map. Jun Changshao could only explore them himself. Whoosh! Entering the only unknown region marked on the map, cold air blew in his face, and the ground was covered with layers of frost. Jun Changshao guessed, could it be that there are ice-type beasts here? Ta! At this moment, a lion-like beast stepped on the frost on the ground and walked over. Its body was 4 to 5 meters tall, and its eyes flickered with a cold light. Its whole body was like a pile of ice, and even its mane was like ice dregs. One word, handsome. Chapter 330. Host. The system said, "This is a second-grade ice lion. Its rarity is not inferior to the purple lightning tiger cub. You actually know about it?" Jun Changshao was quite surprised. It had been following him all day and had not traveled to the outside world or read any books. How could it know about such a rare beast? The system explained, I have been releasing radio waves to capture and analyze the falling star continent, so I know the species of beasts like the back of my hand. Is that so? Jun Changshao said, then tell me, what kind of beast is the little wild boar I caught? This. The system was speechless. It analyzed the known beasts of the falling star continent. Some of them were not recorded in the books, so it definitely did not know. Roar. At this moment, the ice lion roared angrily, and an even colder wind swept over. What a pity. Jun Changshao said, I don't have the gate master ball. Otherwise, I would have definitely subdued this guy. However, he paused and said with a burning gaze, in such a cold environment, it is definitely suitable for frost iron to grow. The ice lion was not friendly. After roaring, cold air condensed around its body and turned into a huge ice cone. Because it was a second-grade ice beast and a rare ice element beast. Jun Changshao gave it face and activated 70% of his spiritual energy. He raised his fist and punched it. Bang! The powerful punch directly shattered the incoming icicle, causing countless ice shards to scatter all over the place. The ice lion's eyes were filled with surprise. Obviously, it did not expect this young man to be so strong. Roar! It raised its head and roared. The scattered ice pieces on the ground suddenly trembled. Swoosh! 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 In an instant, dense ice pieces flew up and gathered in mid-air, flickering with a faint white light. TSK TSK. Jun Changshao said, this guy's use of ice element is much better than my purple lightning tiger cub. Nonsense. The ice lion was already an adult. The purple lightning tiger cub was still in its growth stage. Its control of thunder and lightning was definitely not as good as the ice lion. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. Just at this moment, the floating ice block shot over like a sharp arrow. Pa! Jun Changshao clasped his hands together and quickly made a complicated hand seal. Then, he pushed his palms towards the void and shouted, Imperial Fire Art. Hoo hoo. Scorching flames erupted from the center of his palm, instantly forming a vast power. Although Sect leader Jun had never used the Imperial Fire Art that he had obtained in Death Valley, he had never stopped cultivating and comprehending it. Now that he was facing an ice-type ferocious beast, he could use it to show off. In theory, ice countered fire. However, Jun Changshao's flames instantly melted all the ice blocks that were coming at him. A hint of fear appeared in the ice lion's eyes. Its intuition told it that this human's flames were extraordinary. Not bad. Jun Changshao's flame was very strong, it was called exquisite fire. Although this kind of fire seed was not the best fire seed in the falling star continent, it was still considered a high-grade fire seed. It was something that countless fire-type martial artists dreamed of obtaining. Not only was Sect leader Jun's exquisite fire strong, but his understanding of it was also very strong. Why? Because every time he refined pills and weapons, he would use the exquisite fire, which had indirectly increased his proficiency in flames. The speed of refining beginner-grade healing pills, body-shaping pills, and other pills was obviously much faster than before. And this was the best proof of the increase in his proficiency in flames. It could be said that, although Jun Changshao had never cultivated the fire element, he was already an outstanding fire-type martial cultivator just by refining pills and forging. Others had to work hard to comprehend and slowly strengthen their flames. He was good. Mechanized refining pills and forging, and even increased his proficiency. If a fire-type martial cultivator knew about this, they would definitely vomit blood from envy. Come on. Jun Changshao said heroically, let's have a good fight. Hoo hoo. Both fists were enveloped in flames, and the surrounding temperature rose, melting the frost on the ground. Little Long Long, who was lying on his shoulder, felt the flames erupting from its master. Its eyes flickered with a red light, and it also spewed out its own flames. It was a fire-type ferocious beast, and Jun Changshao's flames resonated with it. One man and one beast spewed out flames at the same time, forming a scorching heat that spread to the surroundings, melting even more frost. Seeing such a powerful flame, the fear in the ice lion's eyes turned into panic. Ice restrains fire, that's right. But when flames reach the extreme, they can also restrain ice and evaporate it into nothingness. The flames that erupted from Jun Changshao had reached the extreme. In terms of momentum, it suppressed the ice lion. Beasts were different from humans. Realizing that the opponent was strong, they would definitely not insist on keeping up appearances. Therefore, the ice lion made the most correct choice in the shortest time. Ice under its feet turned around and slipped into the depths. The ferocious beasts that attacked Jun Changshao earlier were all killed in seconds, so they didn't have time to escape. This was undoubtedly a bit tragic. However, could running solve the problem? Schwa. Jun Changshao used cloud-treading steps and chased after it, dragging the flames all over his body. Little ice sculpture, you can't run away. With a few strides, he directly leaped into the air and rode on the ice lion's back. His hands covered in flames directly grabbed the ice sculpture's ears. Ka ka ka, when the scorching flames came into contact with the ice, it immediately melted, and ice water flowed down. Roar! The ice lion roared miserably. It wanted to mobilize the ice attribute in its body to resist, but just as it condensed, it was ruthlessly suppressed by the exquisite fire. In desperation, it could only twist its body crazily, trying to shake off this human. However, Jun Changxiao's legs were tightly pressed down, and it couldn't shake him off. Soon, it ran for dozens of meters, leaving a water mark on the ground. Boom! The ice lion seemed to have lost its rationality and began to crazily crash into the mountain rocks. Unfortunately, Jun Changxiao rode on it and still didn't move. Plop! After a while, the ice lion powerlessly collapsed on the ground. Its body was still melting, and a large amount of water gathered on the ground. Sect leader Jun was like a ball of fire, enveloping a piece of ice. This was a bit like bullying a beast. Roar! The ice lion groaned in pain. As the ice layer on its body was continuously melted by the flames, it felt the aura of death. As a rare ice attribute beast, it was melted to death by the flames. This was too tragic. Little ice sculpture. Jun Changxiao said, "If you want to live, become my contract beast." As he spoke, the intensity of the flames decreased by a lot. It would be a pity to kill such a rare ice attribute beast. It would be best if he could subdue it. Roar! Under the threat of death, the ice lion weakly begged for mercy. "How do I sign a contract with it?" Jun Changxiao asked. The system said, "Use the host's soul force to establish a connection with its soul." Xiao. Jun Changxiao released his soul force and instantly peeked into the ice lion's trembling soul. They gently moved closer and merged into one. Wang! Suddenly, two streams of light appeared on the ground, quickly outlining a large pattern. At this time, if a warrior saw it, he would definitely realize that this was a contract array that appeared when humans and beasts signed a contract. Xiao. The contract array condensed and formed a barrier, shrouding Jun Changxiao and the ice lion. This was the contract signing ceremony. Swish! Just as the two began to sign the contract, the little dragon jumped out in advance and paid attention to the entrance very vigilantly as if it was guarding its master. A warrior and a beast needed a certain amount of time to sign a contract. During the process, if disturbed by external forces, not only would it fail, but it would also hurt the soul. Wang! Wang! The barrier of the contract array was surrounded by light. Time passed quietly. It was dark. It was dawn. It was dark again. The sky was bright again, until the third day, the light barrier of the contract array disappeared. The pattern on the ground began to converge, and everything returned to normal. Swish! Jun Changxiao jumped down and panted, "Is it so tiring to sign a contract?" Ka ka. The ice lion lying on the ground looked at him in awe and then lowered its head. It's done. Subduing was a success. Chapter 331. Without the ball, relying on the normal contract procedure, Jun Changshao became the owner of the ice lion. To be honest, if it was other strong espers, it would be difficult to subdue this ice beast. One must know that beasts also have pride. Unless they rely on means and strong soul force, it would be difficult for them to submit to a human. Jun Changshao was only a second-stage wuzong, so his soul force was definitely not high. The reason why he could succeed was because he had completely subdued the ice lion. What was subduing? It wasn't using brute force to abuse it. Instead, it was using the fire element to suppress the opponent's ice element. The attributes were opposite, but the result was opposite. The ice crystal lion was thoroughly convinced of its defeat. It didn't have any temper left. When Jun Changshao said to sign the contract, it didn't hesitate to agree because this human was worthy of its submission. In other words, in subduing beasts, it was impossible to rely on brute force. First of all, you have to make it submit to you. Using the opposite attribute to suppress it was one type of submission. Using the same attribute to win was also another type of submission. Many different types of strong espers, if they had a contract beast, most of them would have the same attribute as themselves. Because they were all defeated, they didn't have the temper to submit. Roar. After signing the contract, the ice lion let out a weak roar. Although it had become a contract beast, the injuries from the flames still hadn't healed. Open your mouth, Jun Changshao said. The ice lion opened its mouth. Jun Changshao threw a middle-grade healing pill in. The system was speechless. This is a pill for humans to eat, you give it to a beast to eat, swish. The ice lion suddenly stood up. Its originally thin body gradually expanded under the influence of the ice element. The system changed the topic, it's not impossible. Swish. Under the treatment of the healing pill, the ice lion, who had recovered its majestic appearance, jumped out from an unknown area. Jun Changshao, who was sitting on top, was full of smiles because not only did he subdue an ice beast, but he also found thousands of pounds of cold iron ore inside. At this moment, the forging pavilion was already operating, refining the middle-grade cold sword. Little ice sculpture. Jun Changshao rode on its body, stroked its head, and smiled. From today onwards, this will be your name. Roar. The ice lion let out a long roar. The system was speechless. The ability value of the host to name the contracted beast is definitely negative. Let's go. Jun Changshao pointed to a direction and said heroically, let's go. Roar. The ice lion raised its head and roared again. Then, it galloped forward with its 4 icy limbs. Wherever it passed, the ground was left with patches of frost. There was a fire dragon, a purple lightning tiger cub, and now there was an ice lion. Sect Master Jun was in a good mood and almost sang out loud. In the 3 days after Jun Changshao signed the contract, a team of 20 people had arrived at the 7th zone, and they were currently engaged in a fierce battle with 2 middle-rank 6 ferocious beasts that looked like bulls. Judging from the situation, both sides were evenly matched. However, this was the 10,000 beast mountain range, and other ferocious beasts might be alarmed. After being unable to take down the 2 big guys for a long time, everyone became more and more impatient. Heaven falls and earth rends. A tall and sturdy young man charged towards one of the ferocious beasts with a powerful force. Whoosh whoosh. The spiritual energy in his right fist increased rapidly. Boom. A heavy punch landed on the head of the ferocious beast that looked like a bull's head and sent it flying. Brother E is so awesome. More than 10 martial artists looked at him with admiration. Roar. At this moment, the other ferocious beast seemed to have gone mad. Its 2 horns glowed eerily as it charged towards the group angrily. Everyone, dodge. The young man called Brother E shouted. Everyone reacted quickly. When the giant bull beast charged over, they dodged in advance. But when they saw the big guy go berserk, they lost their confidence. These martial artists were not too strong, and they were only relying on their advantage in numbers. No one dared to face a middle-rank 6 ferocious beast alone. Dang dang. The young man called Brother E rushed over. His right fist carried a powerful force as he punched towards the back of the bull beast. Bang! The second giant bull beast was sent flying. Due to the strong force of the punch, the two big guys fell to the ground and could not stand up for a while. Awesome! Brother E is so awesome! More than 10 members cheered. Zhong Yi withdrew his fist and said with a serious expression, "We can't stay here for long. Retreat to the 6th area quickly." Awoo! As soon as he finished speaking, a wolf howl came from the depths of the forest. Immediately, dozens of gale wolves charged out with their feet stepping on wind vortexes. This is troublesome. Zhong Yi frowned. These gale wolves were mostly at the middle rank 1 level. Although they would not be a threat to him, his companions would not be able to escape. Brother E, what should we do? A young man asked in horror. Swoosh! Zhong Yi rolled up his sleeves and stood in front of everyone. His eyes were cold as he said, "I'll hold them off. Run as fast as you can." But, Brother E, you, run. Everyone clenched their fists and could only retreat. At this time, they could only pin their hopes on Zhong Yi. Because if they could not stop him, they would definitely become the wolf pack's food. Awoo! A few gale wolves rushed over. They were as fast as a gust of wind. Die! Zhong Yi shouted coldly. He poured spiritual energy into his fists and punched, sending 2 gale wolves flying. They collapsed on the ground and became corpses. Although he was young, he was very strong. Awoo! At this time, 3 gale wolves rushed over. Faced with such a situation, Zhong Yi did not panic. He killed 2 of them head-on and killed the other one while dodging. The gale wolves that rushed over later realized that this human was very strong. They immediately changed their strategy and sent more than 30 of their companions to chase after the fleeing martial artist. Swoosh! Zhong Yi noticed it and used his body movement to send the wolf beast that went around him flying. However, one person's energy was limited. When he attacked, more than 10 gale wolves had already gone around him. With their speed, they could catch up with him in a few breaths. Awoo! A gale wolf caught up first and pounced on the fleeing martial artist at the back. No, plop! That martial artist was only a 9th-grade martial disciple. He was knocked to the ground by the gale wolf and was bitten on the neck. Blood gushed out. Ah! A scream came from the forest. Ah shui! Zhong Yi rushed over like a madman, and with a heavy punch, he sent the gale wolf flying out. Bro! Brother E, the martial artist named Ah Shui was lying on the ground. Blood gushed out like a fountain. His eyes gradually lost focus, but he smiled with difficulty. Come, let's be brothers again in the next life. After saying that, he died. Ah ah! Seeing his brother die in front of him, Zhong Yi raised his head and roared in pain. His eyes suddenly turned red. Unfortunately, combat power could not be gained by roaring. The gale wolves that were charging from different directions completely ignored him and chased after the dozen or so martial practitioners who were fleeing in panic. Puchi! A martial artist's back was cut by a sharp blade and he fell to the ground. Then, the 2 gale wolves pounced on him and bit him fiercely. Such a terrible scene played out one after another. One by one, the martial artists were pounced on by the gale wolves. What awaited them was to be brutally bitten to death and finally become food in the mouth of the beasts. However, before dying, they were not afraid. Instead, they shouted with all their might, "Brother E, let's be brothers again in the next life." Chapter 332. Let's be brothers again in the next life. Let's be brothers again in the next life. This sentence deeply stimulated Zhong Yi's brain, driving him to disregard everything and charge over with bloodshot eyes. Ah! You killed my brothers. I'll fight you to the death. At that moment, Zhong Yi seemed to have gone crazy. Awoo! Awoo! At this moment, 6 gale wolves came from behind. Boom! Boom! Although Zhong Yi killed 2 or 3, he was still unable to fight against so many. He was attacked by a few other wolf beasts, and countless wounds appeared on his back. He was also sent flying. Bang! He hit a rock and felt a chill on his back. His nearly irrational mind became much clearer. Wah! A mouthful of blood spurted out, and Zhong Yi's eyes were filled with despair. He was injured and couldn't help at all. He could only watch as his companions were bitten by the gale wolves. To him, the most painful thing in the world was to see his brothers being bitten by ferocious beasts right in front of his eyes. Pain. A heart-wrenching pain. Zhong Yi couldn't wait to let the gale wolves rush over and eat him. He didn't want to watch helplessly as his brothers were killed. However, he couldn't do as he wished. That was because the gale wolves that should have pounced over stopped in their tracks. Huff! Suddenly, a cold aura sprayed down from above. Feeling that cold aura, Zhong Yi's mind was completely frozen and he woke up. He hurriedly looked up and saw the head of a lion-like beast looking down at him. Its large eyes were cold and sharp. Huff huff. The cold aura from the lion beast's nostrils made Zhong Yi's back turn cold. At this moment, not only did he wake up, but he also realized that he didn't hit a rock but the thigh of a ferocious beast. From the aura it emitted, this ferocious beast was definitely comparable to Wuzong. No wonder the gale wolves didn't dare to approach. The gale wolves that were biting the warriors also stopped and looked at the lion beast with deep fear in their eyes. Zhong Yi wouldn't be excited just because the wolf beast stopped biting. Because he knew that even if he and his brothers did not die in the mouth of a wolf, they would die in the mouth of a lion. In his moment of despair, a voice suddenly sounded in his ear, "You seem to be in trouble. Do you need my help?" Zhong Yi was stunned. He tried his best to tilt his head back and saw a white-robed man sitting on the lion beast with a kind smile on his face. This face. This smile. It was instantly imprinted in Zhong Yi's heart and would never be erased. Every time he thought about it, he would rejoice that he was able to meet this person when he and his brothers were in danger. Yes. He said without hesitation. Jun Changshao said, "I can save you, but you have to promise me one thing." Zhong Yi said without thinking, "As long as you can save my brother, not to mention 1, I'll agree to 100. Okay. Jun Changshao said, "I'll help you deal with these evil creatures." To be able to speak such a strange language, there was no doubt that this person was our super handsome sect leader Jun. After coming out of the unknown area, he heard the howling of wolves not long after, and immediately determined that it must be the gale wolves, so he rode the ice lion and rushed over. What a pity. He was a step too late, and many martial artists died. Jun Changshao did not feel guilty, because after entering the 10,000 Beast Mountain range, life and death were up to fate. He had no obligation and no need to save people. Roar! The ice lion rushed towards the gale wolves with its 4 limbs, its body emitting a chilling aura. Awoo! The gale wolves were frightened, and hurriedly ran in the same direction with their tails between their legs. If they ran separately, they might be able to live a little longer. But they ran together, and that was the same as seeking death. The ice lion opened its mouth and spat out a strong cold current. Whoosh whoosh. The air wave carried countless ice shards, and attached to the bodies of the gale wolves, immediately reducing their movement speed. The biggest advantage of the ice element was freezing and slowing down. The gale wolves' advantage was their speed. Once they lost this advantage, it was equivalent to losing half of their martial arts. Roar! The ice lion roared angrily. Clang! Jun Changshao unsheathed his sword and waved it in the air, forming an unparalleled sword aura. Puchi! Puchi! The sword flashed, and more than 10 gale wolves' heads were chopped off in an instant. Hiss! Zhong Yi sucked in a breath of cold air. These gale wolves were at least middle grade 1 or 2, and the other party could kill them so easily. His strength must be terrifying. Yes, that's right. To be able to ride a lion beast comparable to Wuzong, how could his strength be weak? Puchi! Puchi! Jun Changshao was still waving his sword, and the gale wolves' speed was reduced. They could only stretch their necks and wait to be slaughtered. In a short time, more than 70 gale wolves were beheaded, and their corpses fell to the ground. Shwa! Jun Changshao jumped down from the ice lion and skillfully skinned it to retrieve the crystal cores. Although the level of the crystal cores was not enough to refine gale talismans, they were all wind elemental crystal cores, and their value was definitely much higher than other crystal cores of the same level. Who? Zhong Yi laid on the ground and let out a long sigh of relief. Brother Yi. More than 10 martial artists who were not killed by the wolves rushed over. Zhong Yi clenched his fist and said, "How many brothers died?" 6. A martial artist said in a low voice. Kacha. Zhong Yi's eyes were filled with pain, and he deeply blamed himself. It's all my fault, I shouldn't have brought you guys into the 7th area. It was decided by everyone's vote, Brother Yi can't be blamed. Everyone said in unison. Before entering the 7th area, this group had voted, and 19 people agreed, and only Zhong Yi opposed. With the brothers' cultivation, it was not enough to explore the higher areas. However, seeing the anticipation in everyone's eyes, Zhong Yi could only compromise, and decided to come in and take a look, and not stay for too long. In the end, he still underestimated the terror of the 7th area. It's my fault, it's my fault. If he firmly disagreed at that time, his brothers would definitely not have come in, and they would not have lost their lives because of this. Zhong Yi deeply blamed himself. Especially when he thought of the scene where Ashui died in front of him, he clenched his fists, and his fingernails dug into his flesh. Roar! At this moment, an angry roar came from behind. The 2 fallen giant bull beasts finally stood up, and rushed toward the group with bloodshot eyes. Not good. Zhong Yi's expression changed greatly. Because the battle had been too long, he had consumed a lot of spiritual energy, and he had been scratched and rammed by the gale wolves, so even if he could stand up, he could not dodge at all. At this moment, he did not think about himself, and hurriedly said, "Dodge." Zhong Yi had the absolute right to speak in the group, but this time, more than 10 brothers did not listen to him, and instead raised their weapons and blocked in front of him. Brother Yi. The man at the front said with a solemn expression, "You have always taken care of us, and we have always been a burden to you. Today, we will use our lives to protect you." Bastard! Zhong Yi roared, "Run!" The 2 giant bull beasts were powerful, and with their cultivation, they could not withstand them at all. They would definitely be ruthlessly crushed. No matter how Brother Yi roared at the back, the 13 martial artists were indifferent. Their eyes were filled with determination, and they were clearly prepared to fight a bloody battle with the beasts. After collecting the last wind crystal core, Jun Changshao looked at the group of martial artists. He was not afraid of the 2 charging giant bull beasts, and said, "What a group of people who are not afraid of death. Little friend." At this moment, Zhong Yi shouted at the top of his lungs, "Please save my brothers, in this life, Zhong Yi, am willing to be your ox and horse." Zhong Yi. Loyalty. Swoosh. Jun Changshao used cloud-treading steps and rushed forward, blocking the 2 bull beasts in front of the group. His hands suddenly stretched out, and directly grabbed the bull horns that were coming at them. Ga. The 2 giant bull beasts suddenly stopped. Jun Changshao held the 2 bull horns, and dissolved the impact of the force, and said, "For the sake of your name, I will save them one more time. Chapter 333. When Jun Changshao appeared and grabbed the horns with both hands, forcing the two huge beasts to stop, the 13 martial artists behind him all widened their eyes. Two 6th-grade beasts charged at him angrily, but he could stop them with the strength of his hands. How terrifying was that? Zhong Yi was also dumbfounded. He knew better than his companions that although this kind of bull beast was clumsy, when it charged at a high speed, its own strength and body weight produced an impact force that even a peak martial artist would not dare to take with bare hands. Moreover, they were two crazy beasts. Even a rank 1 martial ancestor realm cultivator would have to retreat. Shock, shock. It rippled in the hearts of Zhong Yi and his companions. What made them even more shocked was that not only did Jun Changshao stabilize the two bull beasts, but he also raised his hands, lifted them, and then slammed them into each other. Gulp. Everyone swallowed a mouthful of saliva. This. How strong did he have to be able to lift them like a chicken? Boom. Boom. The two bull beasts were hit several times and fell to the ground dizzily. Jun Changshao clapped his hands and said, "Beef is rich in nutrients, much better than wolf meat and jackal meat." Clang! He pulled out the cold-edged sword and began to cut it. After a while, the two giant bull beasts were cut up, and nearly 10,000 caddies of beef were stored in the spatial ring. Little Long Long, who was lying on his shoulder, suddenly became excited. It could be seen that the little guy also liked to eat beef very much. Zhong Yi and his companions were still in shock. It was not that they did not know that there were many strong people in this world. However, the person in front of them, who looked only 18 or 19 years old, could trample on two giant bull beasts like this. This was too shocking. Zhong Yi, right? Jun Changshao sheathed his sword and said, "You just said that if you save them, you're willing to be an ox or a horse." "That's right." Zhong Yi said, "I said it." A man of his words would never go back on his words. Jun Changshao glanced at everyone and said, "You and them are all individual cultivators?" "Yes." Zhong Yi struggled to stand up. Jun Changshao said, "After you've recovered, bring your brothers to the Iron Bone clan of Azure Sun County." Iron Bone clan? Zhong Yi was startled, and then he remembered that this person referred to himself as this seat, so he asked in astonishment, "Little friend, are you Jun Changshao, the leader of the Iron Bone Upright Sect?" Jun Changshao was rather surprised. "You've heard of me?" "Ah. It's Sect leader Jun." "Oh my god, no wonder he's so powerful. To be able to defeat the patriarch of the Holy Spring Sect, he must be at least at the peak of Wuzong." A look of worship appeared in the eyes of the dozen or so martial artists. The news of Iron Bone's victory over the Sacred Spring Sect had long spread throughout the Starfall continent. Naturally, these wandering practitioners had learned about it through various channels. Zhong Yi was filled with respect and said, "So it's Sect Master Jun. I've been disrespectful." After he learned about Iron Bone's deeds, he had discussed it with his brothers. He even said that if he were to join a sect one day, he would definitely choose this kind of bold person. He first challenged the Vast Chi Sect, then challenged the Holy Spring Sect. In Zhong Yi's eyes, he was bold. However, he paused and said, "Why are we going to your sect?" Jun Changshao said, "Of course it's to join my Iron Bone Upright Sect." "Are you going to bring them for a tour?" Zhong Yi's expression instantly froze. Jun Changshao said again, "If you're not interested in joining, this seat won't force you." Zhong Yi said, "I've admired Iron Bone for a long time. Sect leader Jun also saved me and my brothers. As long as you don't mind, I'm willing to join your Iron Bone Upright Sect." He actually had the idea of joining a sect a long time ago. After all, it wasn't a good thing to be a wandering practitioner. However, he didn't have the heart to join a sect. Iron Bone Upright Sect. Zhong Yi was very tempted by this sect that had recently risen in fame. Because he was in Huayang County, he only thought about it and didn't have any plans to join them. Not to mention, he still had to bring a group of brothers. Their talents were ordinary. If they weren't accepted, they definitely wouldn't join. Zhong Yi. He was loyal and loyal. It could be seen from the situation just now. In this cruel world, not only were there few people like him, they usually didn't have a good ending. But just now, when his companions died, he didn't forget to shout that they would be brothers in the next life. His companions who were still alive were willing to stand in front of him. This showed that they approved of him very much. Jun Changshao threw a waste token with the words Iron Bone Upright Sect engraved on it and said, "Bring it to Iron Bone Upright Sect. Someone will receive you." Sect leader Jun Zhongyi cupped his hands and said, "I'll take my leave first." He first ordered his companions to carry his dead brothers and then limped towards the 6th area. These people were able to leave alive because they met Jun Changshao. Who knew how many teams had become food in the mouths of the beasts because of their recklessness and their desire for excitement? The system said, "Why didn't you give them healing pills?" Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, "Do you think I'm a philanthropist? Giving healing pills to every injured person I see? You gave them to Li Qingyang, and you also gave them to Xiao Ziji." The system exposed him. Jun Changshao said, "I saved Qingyang because I just joined the Falling Star continent, but I'm still from another world." In that case, the host is still a warm-hearted person who often helps old grannies on Earth? "I can't help them." The system said, "What about Xiao Ziji?" Jun Changshao said, "It's just because I'm short of a disciple and wanted to try my luck to see if I can recruit a genius." In the end, you made the right bet. The system said. Jun Changshao said, "So, doing good things will be rewarded." Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, stand up. 500 contribution points have been awarded. Ding! Sect contribution points, 7902000. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, stand up. A hidden reward has been triggered. The storage space of the spatial ring has been increased by 10 times. Look! Jun Changshao spread his hands and said, "I'm right." The system said, "I'm very curious. If the ones attacking them were not Gale Wolves, and the host had no intention of recruiting this person, would you have saved them?" "Yes." Jun Changshao said decisively. "Aren't you afraid of being called a saint?" The system said. Jun Changshao said, "In order to save his brother, he's willing to be someone else's slave. If I don't save such a loyal and righteous person, where's the justice? Furthermore, you're just hypothesizing. In fact, this person is not only loyal and righteous, he's also very strong. If I save him and recruit him, it's the same as adding a fierce general." From Zhong Yi's performance just now, he believed that his talent was definitely not low. This kind of disciple, it would be very difficult to recruit just by opening the mountain gate, so since they met, he had to take the initiative to extend an olive branch. The system said, "In just a short year, the host's state of mind has changed a lot. This is something I didn't expect." Jun Changshao shrugged and said, "I also didn't expect that the originally ordinary and ordinary me would suddenly come to another world and become the leader of a sect. Based on the current situation." The system said, "The host is very hardworking and doing well." "Nonsense." Jun Changshao rolled his eyes and said, "Carrying a bomb all day, how can I not work hard? This is a great responsibility from the heavens, one must first, scram." Chapter 334. Saving Zhong Yi was just a small interlude. After that, Jun Changshao rode the ice lion and wandered around the 7th area, entering several dangerous places one after another. The dangerous places were for martial disciples and martial masters. As a super wuzong, he would definitely be able to do whatever he wanted after entering. Puchi. In an unknown area, a beast whose strength had reached the second stage was directly beheaded by him with the cold-edged sword. The meat is not bad. Shwa. Shwa. The sword light flashed and cut it into 8 pieces. The high-quality meat was kept in the space ring. Night fell again. Jun Changshao found a clean tree hold to rest and counted today's spoils of war. In the 7th area, he obtained a total of 6 high-grade crystal cores, ores, and medicinal herbs. Although these things were temporarily useless, as long as he could obtain weapons and elixir formulas from the store in the future, they would definitely come in handy. Jun Changshao merged into the space ring and found that the internal storage space had increased by a lot. It was more than enough to store 10 giant beasts. Little dragon lacks a lot of food. He muttered, at this time, the space ring can expand by 10 times. It can be said to be perfect. Right. Jun Changshao whispered, after searching for a day, why haven't I seen any other Gale wolves? There were definitely more than 70 or 80 wolf beasts in a pack. There must be a lot more. As long as he could find them, he might be able to obtain the materials needed to refine the Gallop Talisman. Ding! A crisp sound came to his ears. This was the notification from the Foundry Pavilion that it had been completed. In other words, after half a day of refining, the mid-grade cold-edged sword was finally refined. Shwa! Jun Changshao raised his hand and summoned the newly refined weapon. It was a 3 feet long sword. The sword body was a little wider than the cold-edged sword. There was a cold air lingering around it, revealing a sharp aura. Roar! Feeling the spreading cold air, the ice crystal lion let out a low growl. The sword is not bad. Jun Changshao said, it's a pity that it's of the ice attribute. As a fire element martial artist, he hoped to have something that matched his attribute. Only then would it be convenient to use. Of course. The mid-tier cold-edged sword was still very powerful. Jun Changshao held it in his hand. He could feel that if he were to fight, it would definitely provide him with a decent fighting strength. Let's go to the 8th region tomorrow. He muttered, I can try it on a high-level beast. There were a total of 9 areas marked on the map, which was also the limit of what martial cultivators could currently explore. In fact, there were more in the deeper regions of the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. However, the ferocious beasts there were very strong, and there were even spirit beasts. Unless one was a martial king, no one would dare to risk their life to draw them. The next day, Jun Changshao continued his journey on the ice lion. Soon, they entered the 8th region. As there were no markings on the map, he could only wander around blindly. Under normal circumstances, the ferocious beasts hiding in the dark would definitely jump out and attack, but they were exceptionally well behaved, and there was even fear in their eyes. This was because of the ice lion. It was 2 ranks higher, and it was a rare ice element. He couldn't afford to offend them. Roar! After walking for a while, a huge ferocious beast finally rushed out of the forest. Judging from his aura, his strength was at least 4 grades higher. I'll use you to test my sword. Jun Changshao leaped into the air, and the cold-edged sword appeared from the spatial ring. The moment he held it in his hand, the sword suddenly flashed with white cold light. Swish! The sword energy swept across. The ferocious beast that rushed out saw this and was shocked. Puchi! The sword energy blasted on its back, and a deep sword mark appeared. Blood immediately splashed out. This ferocious beast was of a high level, and its skin was rough and thick, but it was easily injured. Roar! It roared in pain and turned around to escape. 9-style wave stacking sword. Jun Changshao faced it head-on and struck out layers of waves. Swish! Amidst the waves, he raised the cold-edged sword and slashed down. In an instant, he struck out the 9th style, forming a cold sword light. Puchi the sharp sword aura flew up and directly cut the 5th-class ferocious beast in half. Plop! Plop! The corpse fell down, and Jun Changshao landed on the ground. A powerful ferocious beast comparable to a 4th grade wuzong was killed with a single slash. This was really terrifying. The power of the sword skill. No, the 9th-style wave stacking sword was only at the low-grade level. Even if the 9th style was comparable to a mortal-grade sword, it was impossible to achieve this. Easily killing a 4th-grade ferocious beast was all because of the middle-grade cold-edge sword. TSK. Jun Changshao said, "This sword is much stronger than the low-grade cold-edge sword." Nonsense. The system said, "How can a low-grade sword be compared to a middle-grade sword?" Jun Changshao said, "What level does the cold-edge sword correspond to in the Falling Star continent?" The system was silent for a moment. High grade. High grade? Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "It's not high." The system was speechless. The reason why Jun Changshao thought it was not high was because it was not as powerful as the Green Dragon Crescent Blade. The system collapsed. The Green Dragon Crescent Blade is a godly weapon, and it has special effects. How can this kind of weapon be compared to it? Oh. Jun Changshao responded. The middle-grade cold-edge sword was actually very strong, because it had already reached the high-grade level. If it was auctioned, it would definitely be sold for a sky-high price. Ordinary wuzong might not even be able to afford it. Jun Changshao felt that it was not strong enough, because he had the Green Dragon Crescent Blade and the hard-to-keep blade, and the middle-grade cold-edge sword naturally could not compare to these divine weapons. Of course. The advantage of the sword was that it was light and elegant, and it was very easy to use. It was far from being comparable to the heavy Green Dragon Crescent Blade. There's also a lot of cold iron. I can refine all of them and equip them with the disciples. Jun Changshao opened the casting pavilion, increased the number of refinements to the highest, and began to refine with one button. There were 3 dangerous places in the 8th area. Jun Changshao strolled around for half a day, holding the middle-grade cold-edge sword. Like a god of death, he killed the ferocious beasts that lived there, and obtained a lot of high-level resources. For now. The trip to the 10,000 Beast Mountain range was quite fruitful. The next day. Jun Changshao entered the 9th area. The ferocious beasts that lived here were all above the 4th grade. Relying on his powerful cultivation and the middle-grade cold-edge sword, Sect leader Jun still explored all the dangerous places without any scruples. Because there were no teams in the 9th area, there were a lot of resources. After searching for a while, he gathered a lot of resources that could be refined. For example, the Overlord's Spear and the Unyielding Iron Shield. For example, all kinds of low-grade pills and middle-grade healing pills. For example, the Strength-Increasing Talisman and the Insight Talisman in the Talisman Pavilion. Jun Changshao found a place to rest, opened the Pill Pavilion, Talisman Pavilion, and refined all the materials as long as he had enough. To be honest, these things were useless with his current cultivation. But they could be used as martial arts resources for the disciples. Especially the Strength-Increasing Talisman. Although this talisman could only increase one's strength by 2 times, if the disciples had one, they could use it to save their lives when in danger. Ding! Ding! The notifications rang for an entire night, and all kinds of pills and talismans were refined. There was no need to mention the low-grade ones. He refined more than 300 middle-grade healing pills, and more than 100 low-grade strength-increasing talismans and insight talismans. Continue to go deeper. Jun Changshao moved, heading toward the area that was not marked on the map. However, just as he was about to move, he heard the howls of wolves coming from the depths of the forest. Shush! 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 Many burly wolf beasts rushed out from the dark, and powerful whirlwinds gathered under their feet. Gale wolf? Jun Changshao was elated. The system said, "This is not a gale wolf, but a hurricane wolf." Chapter 335. Hurricane Wolves. No wonder they looked a little big and their whirlpools were a little strong. It turned out that they were of different species. Howl! Howl! More and more hurricane wolves rushed out of the forest. Their numbers gradually increased until there were more than 500 of them. Jun Changshao glanced at them and judged from their aura that they were at least of the mid-5th grade and at most of the high 1st grade. Especially the 2 hurricane wolves that came later. Their physiques were even more majestic. It was obvious that they were at least of the high 5th grade. Sect leader Jun's eyes lit up. He had 2 main missions in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. First, he was looking for food for Little Dragon. Over the past few days, he had stored hundreds of thousands of kilograms of beast meat in his interspatial ring. It was enough for the little guy to eat happily for a long time. Second, he was looking for wind-type beasts to obtain wind-type cores to refine galloping talismans. After searching for a few days, although he had encountered hurricane wolves, he had not found any suitable cores. Could it be, there were no high-level wind-type beasts in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range? Just when he had lost all hope, a pack of hurricane wolves appeared. He had searched high and low for them, only to find them by chance. Whoosh! Whoosh! More hurricane wolves rushed over. Very soon, the area was surrounded by 3 layers of wolf beasts. Their numbers were close to 1,000. Hurricane wolves lived in the depths of the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. Because they lived in packs and did not have many natural enemies, they had a strong reproductive ability. Howl! The ice lion growled. Its eyes were filled with fear. Even an ice-type beast like it was afraid of so many hurricane wolves. Jun Changxiao's lips curled into a smile. There were almost 1,000 hurricane wolves, and most of them were of the mid-high grade. If he killed all of them, he would be able to filter out many materials to refine galloping talismans. He could still laugh when surrounded by so many wolf beasts. If a martial artist saw him, they would give him a thumbs up and give him a thumbs up. Little dragon, little ice sculpture. Jun Changshao put away the cold light sword and took out the green dragon crescent blade. Stand behind me. Don't run around. The ice lion hurriedly came over. Little dragon landed on the ground. Its eyes were filled with indifference. If it activated its battle form, almost 1,000 trash would not be enough for it to warm up. Howl! Howl! 2 5th-grade hurricane wolves raised their heads and howled. Whoosh! Whoosh! Hundreds of hurricane wolves in the front row rushed over, dragging whirlwinds behind them. At that moment, they were like cavalry on the battlefield, charging at the enemy first. Looking down from above, as the wind vortex was released on a large scale, it was as if a tide was surging towards the center from all directions. The scene was spectacular. Shwa! Jun Changshao gripped the green dragon crescent blade tightly, his eyes flashing with a strong fighting spirit. If the pack of wolves had to be soldiers on the battlefield, then he was now a great general who could hold back 10,000 men. Total annihilation. Jun Changshao took a step forward, and the green dragon crescent blade swept through the air with his power, instantly forming a dazzling green light. Whoosh! The saber light flashed. Dozens of hurricane wolves were mercilessly swept to death. Shwa! After dealing with the target in front of him, Jun Changshao turned around. The green dragon crescent blade rotated according to the angle, once again dragging the green blade light behind him. Puchi! Puchi! Broken limbs and blood flew everywhere. Jun Changshao had only slashed twice, and nearly half of the 100 middle rank 5 and rank 6 hurricane wolves had been killed. Shwa! Shwa! However, there were still more than 50 wolves rushing over from different directions. Roar! The ice lion roared angrily, and cold air spread out from its body. Layers of frost instantly stuck to the wolves' bodies and slowed them down. Die! Jun Changshao swung his blade and wiped out the remaining wolves. With a few slashes, hundreds of hurricane wolves were killed. His explosive combat power could only be described as strong and terrifying. Roar! The ice lion roared again. Witnessing its master's bravery, its fear had long disappeared without a trace. Awoo! Deep in the forest, a heavy wolf howl could be heard. Jun Changshao instantly determined that this was definitely an order from the wolf pack's king. As expected. Hearing the wolf king's howl, the hurricane wolves no longer probed and directly swarmed over. There were 800 to 900 wolves in this area, and they rushed over dauntlessly like a surging flood. Come on, come on. Jun Changshao held the green dragon crescent blade, his eyes filled with strong killing intent. Whoosh, he swung his blade, and green light flashed. Poochie! Poochie! One by one, the hurricane wolves were mercilessly harvested like weeds. Heads, severed limbs, and blood splattered in the air. Roar! The ice lion roared loudly, releasing cold air and frantically slowing down the hurricane wolves. Without the advantage of speed, they could only become souls under the blade. Whoosh! 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 10 minutes later. More than 400 hurricane wolves had died in the surroundings. Blood gathered into a river, and it was like a cruel slaughterhouse. Jun Changshao was still killing with his blade, and his white clothes were dyed red by the wolf blood. Awoo! The wolf king's howl could be heard again. The hundreds of surviving hurricane wolves stopped attacking, and their eyes flickered with fear as they retreated step by step. This human was too scary. If the king did not give the order to stop attacking, the big guys would definitely be wiped out by him if they continued to charge forward. What? Jun Changshao stood with his blade and said, "You evil beasts are afraid of death?" Covered in blood, he stood in front of the piles of corpses. His eyes were cold, and he really looked like a killing god from hell. Awoo! The wolf king's howl could be heard again. Roar! 2 fifth-grade hurricane wolves roared angrily and charged forward with even stronger wind vortices. Although the ice lion was releasing cold air, its opponent's cultivation was stronger than it, and it could not slow down at all. You're courting death. Jun Changshao raised his saber, and suddenly chopped out a green saber light. However, the 2 fifth-grade hurricane wolves were extremely fast, and they dodged with a slight twist of their bodies. Whoosh! One of the hurricane wolves went around and spat out a powerful wind vortex cannon. Boom! Due to its extreme speed, Jun Changxiao's back was hit, but he did not move at all. The wind vortex cannon had a force of more than 200,000 kilograms, but with the soft silk armor, he did not even feel the impact, let alone pain. With a third-grade armor protecting his body, he was just that strong. Die! Jun Changxiao used the cloud crossing steps and rushed over at an extreme speed. Without saying anything, he slashed with his green dragon crescent blade. Poochie! The hurricane wolf that had spat out the wind vortex cannon did not expect this human to be unscathed and rush over at an even faster speed. Its head was directly chopped off. Bang! 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 At this moment, the other hurricane wolf behind opened its mouth and spat out 3 wind vortex cannonballs in succession. The force of each cannonball was more than 200,000 kilograms. Boom! 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 The wind vortex cannonballs landed accurately on Jun Changxiao's body one after another, and they were as weak as cotton. The hurricane wolves behind him were horrified. Not only was this human's strength terrifying, but his physical defense was also terrifying. Whoosh! Jun Changxiao used the cloud crossing steps to rush over again. Whoosh, his blade slashed down, and the green glow swept over. The second hurricane wolf that was comparable to a 5th-grade wuzong did not even have time to dodge before it was mercilessly cut down by the blade. When facing a 5th-grade fire dragon in Death Valley, Jun Changxiao had to use hard-to-stop blade to finish it off. Now, with just the green dragon crescent blade alone, he could easily kill a hurricane wolf of the same level. This was the best proof of his improvement in strength. Bang! With the green dragon crescent blade in front of him, Jun Changxiao said proudly, "Who else?" Chapter 336. Although the two hurricane wolves were 5th grade high, they relied on their speed advantage. In terms of combat power, they were probably only comparable to a 5th grade wuzong with an explosive force of more than 200,000 jin. They couldn't be compared to a strength-type fire dragon at all. Jun Changshao was a superior 2nd grade wuzong with a strength of nearly 350,000 jin. He also had the green dragon crescent blade. Not to mention, he also practiced the cloud steps, so his speed wasn't weak either. Naturally, killing two 5th stage hurricane wolves was also a piece of cake. Awoo! The Wolf King roared again. This time, it gave the order to retreat. Shwa! Shwa! In an instant, hundreds of hurricane wolves fled one after another. One ran faster than the other. This human was too terrifying. They couldn't wait to disappear. Want to run? Jun Changshao chased after them with the cloud steps. Shwa! Shwa! The green dragon crescent blade waved frequently, forming a blade aura that tore apart the hurricane wolves. Although there were still quite a few that ran away. However, there were at least 100 corpses on the road. What a coward! Jun Changshao gave up the chase. He kept the green dragon crescent blade, took out the cold light sword, and began to peel the skin and extract the crystal cores. There were at least 700 hurricane wolf corpses lying here. It took some time to collect them, but the harvest was not bad. Not to mention the large number of high-quality wolf skins, there were more than 400 wind-type crystal cores. There were a total of 310 cores from the 5th grade to the 8th grade. There were 54 cores of the 9th grade, 12 cores of the 1st grade, and 2 cores of the 5th grade. Shwa! Jun Changshao opened the talisman pavilion and clicked on the gallop talisman. The panel that appeared was 21 wind-type 5th grade crystal cores. 122 wind-type 1st grade crystal cores. 545 wind-type 9th grade crystal cores. 6,501 cyclone pills. The Refine button below finally lit up after the materials were automatically matched. However, because there were only 2 of the most important 5th grade crystal cores, he could only refine 2 pieces. It's better than nothing. Jun Changshao was very satisfied and directly clicked on the refining button. Hoo. The talismans were being refined mechanically. Refining charms require time. Jun Changshao took back the interface and looked at the corpses on the ground. The levels of these wolf beasts are not bad. Their meat should be delicious. Should we decorate them? Smack, smack. The little dragon stopped in front of the wolf carcass and opened its mouth to tear it apart. Alright then. Then let's split more. The spatial ring given by the system had a large capacity, and there were many spare rings that could store a lot of beast meat. Ding! 4 hours later, a notification sounded. Inside the spatial ring given by the system, a speed talisman appeared out of thin air. Jun Changshao looked at it carefully and found that it was similar to the one he used in the past. He was overjoyed and said, the effect should be similar to the one given by the big gift pack, right? There were 3 types of talismans in the talisman pavilion. Only the elementary strength increasing talisman had a detailed introduction. The insight talisman and the gallop talisman were not available. Host, you're thinking too much. The system said, most of the talismans refined from the talisman and incantation pavilion have their effects reduced, which is made up for the time limit. Alright. Jun Changshao took out the galloping talisman and murmured, do you want to try? Yes. The system said, let me help the host determine the effect and time limit. Pa! Jun Changshao directly crushed it. Huff huff. A special force flowed into his legs, giving him the urge to run immediately. The system said, the Gallop Talisman refined by the Talisman and Incantation Pavilion has half the effect of the big gift pack, but the time limit is 2 hours. To increase the effect from 1 hour to 2 hours with half the effect, no matter how one looked at it, it was a bit of a loss. Little dragon, little ice sculpture. Jun Changshao said, wait here, I'll be back soon. Roar. The ice lion growled in response. Shwa. Jun Changshao dragged his afterimage and disappeared. Little dragon and the ice lion saw this and their eyes widened. Oh my god. Master's speed was so fast that they couldn't even see him clearly. Shwa. Shwa. Jun Changshao sped through the forest, dragging an afterimage behind him. The system analyzed, although it's not fast enough to make the afterimage solidify for a while, with the host's current speed, it's infinitely close. Not bad, Jun Changshao said. In fact, to be able to be so fast, the talisman was one of the reasons, and the cloud-treading steps was another. Of course. Sect leader Jun didn't crush the gallop talisman simply to test his speed. He chased in the direction of the hurricane wolves. Wind-type beasts. Today, this seat wants to compete with all of you to see who can run faster. Xiao. In the forest, a stream of light flashed. If one didn't use the long-range camera, it would be difficult to capture Jun Changshao's figure. A wolf. In a cave, the howl of a wolf could be heard. This was the nest of the hurricane wolves. It was very spacious, enough to accommodate 2,000 to 3,000 wolves. At this moment, the majestic hurricane wolf king stood on a huge rock in the cave. It raised its head and growled, seemingly comforting its defeated subordinates. If one looked carefully at the cave, they would find that there were not only nearly 1,000 hurricane wolves, but also many human skeletons. They were all martial cultivators who came to explore the 10,000 beast mountain range and became food. A wolf. The few hundred hurricane wolves that were lucky enough to survive under the blade growled along with their king, as if remembering their dead companions. They rarely encountered opponents in the mountain range. This time, so many of them were killed. It was a heavy loss. Xiao. Suddenly, a gust of cold wind blew. The howling hurricane wolf king suddenly stopped and looked over with its cold eyes. It saw a human holding a blade standing at the entrance of the cave. It's him. The hateful guy who killed countless of my subordinates. TSK. Jun Changshao, who heard the howl, raised his green dragon crescent blade and said, I didn't expect there to be so many hurricane wolves in the cave. I can use them as materials. A wolf. The hurricane wolf king growled. Shwa. Shwa. For hurricane wolves of the 5th stage rushed over and shot hurricane cannonballs at the entrance of the cave. Shwa. Shwa. Jun Changshao dragged his afterimage and elegantly dodged. Die. Shwa. In an instant, he approached a hurricane wolf and chopped off its head. Puchi. 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 Another 3 slashes. The other 3 hurricane wolves of the 5th stage had their heads separated from their bodies. How fast was he? He was so fast that the eyes of nearly 1,000 hurricane wolves in the cave were filled with fear. Wind-type berserk beasts were known for their speed. Jun Changxiao's speed was so fast that they couldn't clearly see his figure. Roar. The hurricane wolf king roared and rushed over while stepping on the wind. This human was too strong. Letting his subordinates fight him would be suicide. He could only do it himself. Shwa. The hurricane wolf king's strength was 9th stage. Its speed was much faster than the hurricane wolves of the 5th stage. When it rushed over, the hurricane cannonball that it shot out carried at least 300,000 jin of force. Jun Changxiao's speed was also fast. He dodged first. Boom! The hurricane cannonball hit the mountain wall, shattering a lot of rocks and creating a big hole. Shwa! Jun Changxiao circled around and the green dragon crescent blade swept over. The hurricane wolf king dodged with difficulty and rushed toward the entrance of the cave. There were many beasts in the cave. Fighting here would only implicate them. Thus, it was best to lure that guy out. High-ranked berserk beasts had basically developed intelligence. Not only could they understand human language, but they could also think like humans. Shua. Jun Changshao chased after the Hurricane Wolf King with his blade. He wanted to see if the Hurricane Wolf King was faster or if he was faster. Chapter 337. Whoosh whoosh. A cold wind blew over, pressing down the grass. A man and a beast faced each other on the open ground. They were about 100 meters apart. Jun Changshao said indifferently, "You were worried about accidentally injuring your own kind, so you purposely drew me out. You are quite smart, evil beast." Whoosh! The Hurricane Wolf King lowered its head and spat out a whirlwind from its mouth. Its eyes flashed with cold killing intent. "How about this?" Jun Changshao said, "Become my contracted beast, and I will spare their lives." If he could use this kind of speed-type beast as a mount, it would definitely be much stronger than the purple lightning tiger cub. Speaking of which, Sect leader Jun was also obsessed with subduing beasts. The system poured cold water on him. This is a 9th-grade beast. With the host's current soul power, it is impossible to form a contract with it. Can't I just force it? If the host tries to force it, his soul will be severely damaged. Subduing beasts and forming a contract usually depended on the level of the two parties. Jun Changshao was stronger than the Hurricane Wolf King, but he was only a 2nd-grade Wuzong, 7 grades lower than the Hurricane Wolf King. Howl! The Hurricane Wolf King roared angrily and dashed forward, shooting out a series of whirlwind cannonballs. Jun Changshao met the attack with his blade and destroyed all the cannonballs with his powerful strength. Whoosh! He waved his blade again, and a green light burst out. Shwa! The Hurricane Wolf King hurriedly dodged. But just as it turned around, Jun Changshao appeared in front of it, and the green dragon crescent blade slashed down again. Boom! The blade slashed the ground, leaving a deep mark. The Hurricane Wolf King, who had dodged with difficulty, stabilized its body, and its eyes were filled with shock. How could this human's speed be so terrifying? Shwa! There was no time to think. Jun Changshao dragged his afterimage and appeared in front of it again, slashing down with his blade. Boom! The blade slashed the ground again. The Hurricane Wolf King dodged, and a chill ran down its spine. This person was too fast, and the whirlwind cannonballs couldn't do anything to him. There was no way it could fight him. In fact, the Hurricane Wolf King was able to dodge because Jun Changshao didn't use his absolute strength. Otherwise, the blade would have been even faster. Shwa! 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 Sect Master Jun continued to dash forward. He swayed left and right, and his afterimages spread across the spacious grassland. The Hurricane Wolf King was so shocked that it could only choose to dodge. Jun Changshao gave up on attacking for the time being and chased after him as if he were taking a leisurely stroll. "You're a wind-type Wolf King, aren't you a bit too slow?" The Hurricane Wolf King was infuriated. It could only increase its speed to the maximum and enter the gloomy forest. It could only rely on the complicated terrain to shake off this human and defend its dignity as the king of the wind-type wolf beasts. Unfortunately, half an hour later. Plop! The Hurricane Wolf King lay paralyzed in the forest, its tongue hanging out as it gasped for air. Boom! In his field of vision, the cyan broadsword was stabbed in front of him. Jun Changshao stood in front of it and grinned. "Stand up and run." The Hurricane Wolf King wanted to run, but it was already exhausted. It was quite a tragedy for a Wolf King that was known for its speed to be chased into such a sorry state. "You're not running anymore, right?" Jun Changshao waved his hand and took out a spider web. He tied up the Hurricane Wolf King and dragged it back to the wolf cave. Since he couldn't sign a contract with it, he would drag it back to the sect and slowly tame it. Roar! Not long after they left, a deafening roar came from the forest in the distance, causing the surrounding leaves to rustle. The Hurricane Wolf King's eyes were filled with fear. It desperately tried to break free from the spider web. Unfortunately, the more it struggled, the tighter the web became. Jun Changshao said, "Stop resisting." The system said, "From the roar just now, I'm afraid that it's a beast comparable to the peak of Wuzong. It seems to be coming from the wolf cave." "Correct." Jun Changshao murmured, "Could it be that a powerful beast has set its eyes on the hurricane wolves?" "That won't do. That's the prey I want." Shua. Jun Changshao dragged the Hurricane Wolf King and rushed toward the wolf cave. Roar. The roar was still echoing. Jun Changshao was getting closer and closer to the wolf cave. He could clearly feel the ground trembling slightly, as if it was caused by some kind of power. Soon, he arrived at the wolf cave. He saw a beast that looked like a gorilla and an ape. Its entire body was covered in brown fur. It was waving a wooden stick and hitting the ground. It wasn't a wooden stick. It was a thick and sturdy tree. Because the beast's body was too big, it was like a wooden stick in his hand. The system said, "This is a gorilla savage." "What's its strength?" Jun Changshao asked. The system was silent for a moment. Then, it said, "It's a low-grade spirit beast." Low-grade, spirit beast. Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. Savage beasts were divided into low, mid, and high grades. They corresponded to martial disciple, martial master, and wuzong. Above that were spirit beasts. They were also divided into low, mid, and high grades. They corresponded to martial king, Wu Huang, and Wu Sheng. A low-grade spirit beast was comparable to a rank 1 martial king. Holy shit! Jun Changshao exclaimed, "There really are spirit beasts in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range." Boom! The gorilla savage smashed the thick wooden stick down, causing the ground to tremble again. The inside of the wolf cave couldn't withstand the tremors and started to shake, forcing the hurricane wolves to rush out. Whoosh! The gorilla barbarian seized the opportunity and swung his club down, directly crushing more than 10 hurricane wolves into meat paste. Seeing this, Jun Changshao, who was hiding in the distance, immediately understood why the gorilla savage was smashing the ground. It was to force all the wolf beasts out of the cave. So smart. Shua. The gorilla savage's other hand reached down and sucked out the crystal core from the meat paste. Then, it put it into its mouth and swallowed it. The system said, "This spirit beast lives on crystal cores. The more it eats, the stronger it gets." Damn! Jun Changshao said, "Isn't this fucked up?" He didn't have any objections to eating the crystal cores of other beasts. However, it had to eat the hurricane wolf's crystal core. Wasn't this clearly stealing his things? Boom! Boom! The gorilla savage was still smashing the ground. The walls of the wolf cave started to collapse, forcing more hurricane wolves to escape. Boom! In the end, they were smashed into meat paste and contributed crystal cores. Wu Wu, the hurricane wolf king, who was tied up, let out a strange howl. As the leader of the pack, it must be very sad to see its own kind being killed by the gorilla savage with a wooden stick. Big guy. Jun Changshao said with a cold face, "I'll help you get rid of this big guy. How about you submit to me?" Woo! The hurricane wolf king let out a sound as if it had compromised. At this time, it had to agree because if it didn't get rid of the gorilla savage quickly, its own kind would definitely be killed by it. Deal. Jun Changshao said, "I'll help you kill that big guy and you'll submit to me as your master." Shua. As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed toward the gorilla savage with a trail of afterimages. If the hurricane wolf king didn't agree, sect leader Jun would also make a move. After all, he needed the wind crystal cores to make the gallop talisman. If it ate them all, where would he go to find the materials? Bastard! Jun Changshao jumped into the air and rushed over with a trail of afterimages. He slashed down with the green dragon crescent blade. Die! Bang! The blow landed squarely on the savage's back, and he was sent flying by Hua Li's attack. Thump! 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 Jun Changshao landed on the ground and retreated dozens of steps. The hand holding the blade was numb and the corner of his mouth twitched. This guy's skin is too thick. Shwa! He raised the blade again and was about to slash. The gorilla savage suddenly turned its head and anger appeared on its face. A pair of big eyes stared at sect leader Jun and a strong chi wave appeared around its body. The chi wave was like a gust of wind, blowing Jun Changxiao's black hair. Fuck! Just its aura alone was so terrifying. A spirit beast comparable to a martial king was indeed terrifying. Shwa! Sect leader Jun hurriedly put away the green dragon crescent blade and grinned. If I said I was just passing by, would you believe me? Believe your ass. Chapter 338. A spirit beast that was comparable to a martial king was very powerful. Just the aura around it was enough to create a strong pressure. Jun Changshao was truly inferior in front of the ferocious apes. At that moment, he instantly judged that he couldn't fight against such a powerful monster. Therefore, he said shamelessly, if I said I was just passing by, would you believe me? To tell the truth, he didn't believe it himself. He also thought that the ape would angrily raise its wooden club and smash it down. But he swore that no matter how much he thought about it, he never thought that this big guy would suddenly reply, believe your grandpa. Ga. Sect leader Jun was dumbfounded. I was just scolded by a spirit beast. The system was speechless. Host, shouldn't you be thinking about why it can speak human language? That woke him up from his dream. Right. How could an evil beast speak human language? How could it curse? This was illogical. The system said, spirit beasts are called spirit beasts because they have gained intelligence. It's normal for them to speak human language. Then why aren't they called intelligent beasts? How would I know? At that moment, the ape raised its wooden club and smashed it down. Its explosive strength easily broke through 1,000,000 gene. It was happily enjoying the crystal core when it was suddenly attacked from behind. Of course it would be angry. Whoosh whoosh, a strong wave of chi came down first. Breaking through to martial king and condensing spiritual sense, it was able to see clearly. Although spirit beasts couldn't use the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, they could form a kind of spiritual pressure to control their target. This kind of spiritual pressure was similar to an aura. The hurricane wolf that ran out of the cave was suppressed by the spiritual pressure. It was bound and then killed by the wooden club. Such a strong aura. Jun Changshao hurriedly used the cloud-treading steps to escape. If it was someone else, they would definitely be disturbed by the spiritual pressure and their movements would be slowed down. But he wasn't affected at all and easily escaped. Why? Because the spiritual pressure was much weaker than the 10 times gravity of the first floor of the training tower. Boom! The ground shook and the cold wind whistled. Jun Changshao ran hundreds of meters away in one breath and summoned the green dragon crescent blade. He said angrily, don't go too far. The system was speechless. Please. You were the one who took the initiative to provoke it first. The ape barbarian said in surprise, you can actually ignore my spiritual pressure. Jun Changshao could understand the general idea. The so-called spiritual pressure should be the aura that had been suppressed just now. Thus, he said disdainfully, with your spiritual pressure, it's not enough to tickle me. Is that so? The ape barbarian's eyes were filled with anger. Shwa! With one hand, he grabbed a nearby tree and uprooted it, using it as a wooden stick again. He said coldly, you're going to die today for disturbing my meal. Step! Step! He walked over with heavy steps. Jun Changshao raised his green dragon crescent blade and rushed over with cloud-treading steps. In front of him was a colossus that was even bigger than the stone golem. He rushed over recklessly. It was a very vivid scene. If there was a BGM at this moment, it would be even more perfect. Die, human! The ape barbarian roared angrily, and two thick trees came crashing down with a violent force. Shwa! Shwa! Jun Changshao used his movement technique, dragging an afterimage to dodge the two wooden sticks. He tiptoed and leaped into the air. He raised his blade and shouted angrily, "Fuck, this was not a move." This was a sign of surprise. Because when the ape saw him jump, it did not say anything and raised its head to smash at him. Please. You're a spirit beast. How can you use such a despicable move? Boom. Before Sect leader Jun could swing his blade, he was hit by the ape barbarian's head. His whole body was sent flying. Dang dang dang. He landed on the ground and staggered back dozens of steps. Whoosh whoosh. The ape barbarian walked over quickly, raised its two wooden sticks, and smashed them down crazily. Boom. 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 The ground shook, and dust flew everywhere. After smashing more than 10 times, the ape barbarian stopped and said disdainfully, "Little human, you dare to appear in front of me. You really don't know what's good for you." Hey! A voice came from behind, "I'm here." The ferocious ape turned around and saw that Jun Changshao had appeared behind him at some point, the corners of his mouth raised into a smile. 3 heroes against Lu Bu. He poured his strength into the green dragon crescent blade and slashed at the barbarian's ankle. This scene was so familiar. Not bad. When he was fighting against the stone man, Jun Changshao chopped at its ankle and made it lose its balance. I don't believe it. You will be the same as the stone-type beasts and have the ability to quickly recover your legs. Bang! The green dragon crescent blade slashed at the barbarian's ankle. However, its fur was too thick. Not only was it not injured, but it also sent Jun Changshao flying. The ape barbarian did not have the recovery ability of the stone man, but it had a high level of defense. It was not strong enough to injure it. Fuck. Jun Changshao steadied himself and realized that this guy was very troublesome. The system said, if the host did not have the speed talisman, you would have been dead by now. This was the truth. With the speed talisman, Jun Changshao was able to dodge the barbarian's attack. Otherwise, he would have been turned into minced meat. Die! Hoo-hoo! The ape barbarian once again raised its 2 wooden clubs and smashed down. It was hit again, making it even angrier. Unfortunately, although its strength had increased, Jun Changshao was not controlled by the spiritual pressure and his speed was very fast. He was able to escape in time. The current situation was, no one could do anything to the other. The situation was in a stalemate. The bound Hurricane Wolf King saw that the human was able to contend with the ape barbarian from afar. Its eyes were filled with shock. That was a spirit beast. This guy's cultivation did not seem high. How did he do it? Who? Hong. 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 The ape barbarian was still crazily attacking. Even though it knew it was useless, it still thought that if it hit, this human would be turned into minced meat. Shwa. 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 Jun Changshao used the cloud-treading steps to the extreme and dodged the wooden clubs in the narrow space. Finally, he jumped up again and shouted, "You really want to force me to use my trump card?" Hoo-hoo. In an instant, the green dragon crescent blade released a green attribute and transformed into Wu Xing's soul behind him. Shwa. Under the support of Guan Yu, Jun Changshao furiously slashed down with his blade. A huge green blade aura carrying a violent force instantly swept over. The ape barbarian's eyes were filled with shock. It immediately blocked the 2 wooden clubs in front of it. Xiao, the green blade aura fiercely slashed through. Not only did it cut off the two wooden clubs, it also cut off a lot of its thick rope-like hair. ZZ. A blade mark appeared and blood splattered everywhere. Ah! The ape barbarian screamed in pain. The Hurricane Wolf King opened its eyes wide. Obviously, it did not expect that the human could hurt such a strong spirit beast. Strong defense? In front of Guan Yu, all living things were equal. Shua. Jun Changshao landed and rushed over again. Hiss hiss, the blade of the green dragon crescent blade dragged a slender blade mark on the ground. Shua. Jun Changshao jumped up and slashed down with his blade. He shouted, I am Guan Yun Chang, the Marquis of Han Shou Ting. Whoosh. A powerful force burst out and once again condensed into a green blade aura. At that moment, Jun Changshao was like the incarnation of Guan Yu. Although his physique was small, the aura emitted from his body and eyes was daunting. Human. Go to hell. The ape barbarian's eyes were filled with endless anger. It threw away the broken wooden clubs and raised its meaty hand to smash down. Xiao, the blade aura swept across and gradually disappeared in the void. The ape barbarian's palm suddenly showed a deep blade mark and blood splattered everywhere. Chapter 339. Jun Changshao had stimulated the martial saint's soul's second slash, and it had the power to cut through rivers. If it had been anyone else, they would have immediately fled, and would not have dared to face it head-on. The ape also wanted to run away, but it couldn't. As a boss-level spirit beast in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range, its advantage was its strong body and strength. Its weakness was also obvious. The bigger the body, the more vulnerable it was. Therefore, when Jun Changshao attacked for the second time, the ape could only rely on its own strength to break the cyan blade light that was coming at it. Unfortunately, it couldn't do it. A deep cut appeared on its thick palm. Blood splashed out, and an intense pain spread through its body. Ah ah! The ape barbarian screamed in pain. It covered its wound with its other hand and ran away with a rumble. This blade is too scary. I have to retreat quickly. One of the spirit beasts was scared and terrified. Shua. Jun Changshao landed on the ground. The green dragon crescent blade was stuck to the grass. Guan Yu stood proudly behind him. He didn't chase after the ape. He couldn't wait for the other party to disappear. Why? Because the two slashes had consumed a lot of spiritual energy from the spirit core. Jun Changshao knew that this big guy had a strong defense. When he attacked, he didn't hold back at all. How strong was it? If it was the patriarch of the Sacred Spring Sect, he would have been killed instantly. Who? Seeing the ape disappear from his sight, Jun Changshao heaved a sigh of relief. His face looked weak. Luckily, he scared that guy away. If he continued to fight, he would have to use the mid-grade strength increasing talisman. Sect leader Jun was not a boorish man rushing out to fight a spirit beast level ferocious beast, he must have absolute confidence. What if the mid-grade strength increasing talisman couldn't do it? No problem. He still had 2 talismans. He could use hard to stop. As long as the enemy wasn't overwhelmingly strong and Sect Master Jun had a trump card in his hand, he shouldn't be in too much danger no matter what he did. Xiao. The green light disappeared and merged into the green dragon crescent blade. Jun Changshao came to the front of the Hurricane Wolf King and said, I helped you deal with that big guy. According to our agreement, you have to submit to me. Of course. He said indifferently, if you go back on your words, I will make your tribe disappear immediately. The Hurricane Wolf King lay on the ground, its eyes filled with bitterness. This guy was able to defeat the ape barbarians, so he was also a huge threat. Ugh, it let out a low growl of compromise. The bound Hurricane Wolf King now had 2 choices. It could either submit or die. It didn't matter if he died. However, the destruction of their entire race was definitely unacceptable. Furthermore, if it wasn't for this human, their tribe would have been wiped out by the ape barbarians long ago. Therefore, they chose to submit to him out of gratitude. Outside the wolf cave, Jun Changshao sat on the back of the Hurricane Wolf King with a smile on his face. Around him, hundreds of surviving hurricane wolves were lying on the ground, lowering their heads and bowing to him. The Wolf King agreed. As an underling, he would definitely agree. Jun Changshao subduing the Hurricane Wolf King was equivalent to subduing the entire wolf pack and becoming their master. That feeling was quite satisfying, Shua. Jun Changshao jumped down and strode into the wolf cave. From the 4 hurricane wolves he killed just now, he took out 4 5th-grade crystal cores. He could refine another 4 gallop talismans. How wonderful! Just as he was about to leave, Jun Changshao accidentally discovered that there was a large gap in the depths of the cave due to the tremor just now. He curiously walked in and was immediately stunned by the scene in front of him. Jun Changshao was in a relatively independent large cave. Inside, there were wolf corpses everywhere. The wind crystal cores were also scattered all over the ground. The system said, "This is the Hurricane Wolf Graveyard." When beasts that lived in groups knew that their lifespan was reaching its end, they would die in a fixed area. Over time, a large graveyard would be formed. The cave that was blasted out by the ape barbarians was the Hurricane Wolf Graveyard. Over time, not only did this graveyard gather countless hurricane wolf corpses, but there were also many crystal cores. I want to get rich. Jun Changxiao's eyes were burning. Shua. Shua. With a thought, he collected all the crystal cores stored in the cave. Because there were too many crystal cores of various qualities, Jun Changxiao was too lazy to differentiate them. He directly opened the talisman pavilion and tapped on the gallop talisman. The number displayed was 86 gallop talismans. Jun Changxiao grinned. Not only did he subdue the Hurricane Wolf King and its pack, he also found so many materials to refine gallop talismans. It was definitely a great harvest. Awoo. Awoo. Wolf howls could be heard from the forest. Ice Lion, who was resting, jumped up upon hearing the howls. Shua. Shua. Shortly, several hundred hurricane wolves rushed out from the darkness. This is troublesome. Ice Lion's eyes became serious. So many hurricane wolves suddenly rushed out without its master. If it was attacked by them, it would definitely die. Aha! Little Dragon stood up lazily. It, who could instantly kill a martial king in its battle form, looked down on wolf beasts from the bottom of its heart. Shua! Shua! More hurricane wolves rushed out. There were at least 800 to 900 of them. The most troublesome thing was that not only were there adult wolves in the pack, but there was also a group of wolf cubs. Ice Lion's mouth twitched slightly. Could it be that it was popular to go hunting with family members in tow? Awoo! The hurricane wolves were still rushing over. Judging from their movements, they were obviously coming for Ice Lion and Little Dragon. Roar! Ice Lion roared angrily. Cold air erupted from its body. Obviously, it was ready for battle. A wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. Actually, Ice Lion and Little Dragon could escape. However, Jun Changxiao had ordered them to wait here. Therefore, even if danger came, they would hold their ground. This was the spirit of the contract. Phew! Little Dragon spat out a ball of fire. Its eyes immediately became cold and fierce. With its current small body, it was definitely not a match for the hurricane wolves. Therefore, it could only use its battle form. Awoo! Awoo! The hurricane wolves were still rushing over at high speed. A battle was about to break out. Shua! At this moment, an even bigger hurricane wolf leaped over with a whirlwind. Thud! It landed on the ground. The wind howled. Seeing this, Ice Lion's eyes suddenly showed a deep sense of fear. This was the Hurricane Wolf King. From the aura it emitted, its strength was definitely far above Ice Lion's. Little Dragon's expression also became solemn. Obviously, it had realized that the problem was a little serious. Whoosh whoosh. In an instant, flames 2 to 3 meters high spread out around its body. It was activating its battle form. Ice Lion was startled by the sudden rise of flames. Its eyes flickered with astonishment. In its opinion, that lizard-like guy was very weak. How could it suddenly emit such a powerful aura? Whoosh whoosh. The scorching flames were still rising. The battle form was about to change. Don't transform. Suddenly, a voice sounded, "We're on the same side." Ga. The Ice Crystal Lion was startled. Little Dragon also retracted the flames that had erupted. Its eyes were filled with surprise. Shwa. The Hurricane Wolf King lowered its head slightly, revealing Jun Changshao who was riding on its back. This, Little Dragon and Ice Lion were instantly dumbfounded. Chapter 340. An Open Space. Jun Changshao sat on a boulder, took out a map from the ring, and began to draw with a pen. He wanted to fill in the places he had just walked through, so that he could go deeper and make sure that he had not been here before. After entering the 10,000 Beast Mountain range for a few days, he had also obtained a large amount of food and resources. However, there was still enough time. Jun Changshao did not plan to leave and decided to wander around for 10 days to half a month to see if he could obtain more. Moreover, it was rare that he did not have to manage the sect, so he had to relax. Relaxing in the dangerous 10,000 Beast Mountain range was really cool. In the distance, hundreds of hurricane wolves surrounded the open space, either lying on the ground to rest or standing on the trees to guard. A pack of wolves as bodyguards was definitely awesome. Little Long Long and Ice Lion leaned on the side, their eyes still filled with surprise. They really could not understand how their master had subdued the Hurricane Wolf King and the Hurricane Wolves not long after he left. Okay. After drawing, Jun Changshao stood up and said, "Let's go." Shwa. Riding on the Hurricane Wolf King, he led the 2 contract beasts into the depths of the unknown forest. As for the wolves, they were temporarily placed to wait. The 5th area. Nearly 600 martial cultivators in short-sleeved clothes gathered here, their eyes filled with anger. A small team passed by and saw this formation, they were so scared that they hurriedly dodged. Leader. A martial artist said, "That brat must have entered a deeper area and has not left the 10,000 Beast Mountain range yet." In front of him stood a middle-aged man in a black robe, his whole body emitting a strong aura. This person's face was slightly gloomy, and there were 3 scars on his right eye. He looked fierce, and his head was shiny because he did not have a single strand of hair. Ho Kun. The leader of the Blood Wolf mercenary group, his strength was 5th grade Wuzong. He was very angry now, very angry. Because the 3rd team's captain, vice-captain, and many of his subordinates were killed by a white-clothed youth. The 10,000 Beast Mountain range was equivalent to his own territory, and his subordinates were killed by others. This was a slap to his face. Brat. Ho Kun clenched his fists and said with a gloomy gaze, "Don't let me catch you, or I will definitely tear you into pieces to comfort my brother's soul in heaven." Shwa. He waved his hand and ordered, "Surround the entrance and exit." Yes. The members of the mercenary group spread out and sealed off the main entrances. Even the leader of the Blood Wolf mercenary group is here. Once the white-clothed youth is discovered, he will definitely die without a burial ground. A strong dragon cannot suppress a snake in its old haunts. Many great sects that came to the 10,000 Beast Mountain range didn't dare to offend the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. That brat killed their people, he was undoubtedly courting death. With the entrance blocked, it'll be difficult for us to enter. It's already fortunate that the guild leader didn't vent his anger on us. You still want to go in? The small teams in the distance were discussing quietly. Some people retreated, while others chose to wait for the Blood Wolf mercenary group to leave before going in to explore. The most tragic ones were the teams that had entered District 6 early. Because the exits had been sealed, they were all stuck inside. Boss. Fatty frowned. What should we do? Brother Chin thought for a moment and said, we can only wait for them to leave before returning to Fugui town. Over the past few days, he and his team members had successfully explored the target area and obtained a lot of resources. What was even more fortunate was that they did not lose any members. Damn it. The man who had looked down on Jun Changshao earlier said angrily, it's obviously that guy who killed them. Why didn't the Blood Wolf mercenary group look for him? Why did they seal the entrance? That's right, that's right. Someone else agreed. They didn't look for their creditors, but blocked the entrance and didn't let us pass. How can they be reasonable? Brother Chin said, you can go and reason with them. That person hurriedly shrank his head. He was just saying it in private. If he really went to the Blood Wolf mercenary group to reason with them, he would definitely die miserably. The man said angrily, that guy caused trouble. He hit himself, but he caused everyone to be stuck in the forest. In my opinion, he might have left the 10,000 Beast Mountain range long ago. The Blood Wolf mercenary group has been blocking the entrance. When can we get out? Sigh, I hope there won't be any strong ferocious beasts during this period. Just after the Blood Wolf mercenary group sealed the entrance, Jun Changshao had already entered deeper into the mountain range and fought fiercely with high-ranked ferocious beasts. Because no one had set foot here, all kinds of herbs and ores could be seen everywhere. As long as Sect leader Jun saw them, he would keep them in his spatial ring. The deeper he went, the higher the level of the ferocious beasts. Jun Changshao gradually lost his strength. After 4 to 5 days of exploration, he could only choose to return and meet up with the hurricane wolves waiting at the same place. It's been almost half a month since we came here. Jun Changshao murmured, it's time to go back. Swish. Riding on the Hurricane Wolf King, he headed toward the area marked on the map. Awoo. Awoo. Hundreds of hurricane wolves raised their heads and roared. Like soldiers, they lined up neatly behind him, forming a long line. This won't do. Jun Changshao murmured, it's a bit high profile. Following behind him was the Ice Lion, the Hurricane Wolf King, and so many hurricane wolves. This was not high profile, this was very high profile. Swish. Jun Changshao jumped down and said, Big Wolf, let them split up and walk in the dark. Don't make a sound, and don't let other martial artists see them. The Hurricane Wolf King nodded and let out a low growl. Swish. Swish. Hundreds of hurricane wolves quickly separated and merged into the dark and dense forest. Little ice sculpture. Jun Changshao said, you also hide in the dark. Roar. The Ice Lion received the order and withdrew its cold air and drilled into the dark forest. Everything was settled. Jun Changshao walked out the same way he came in with Little Dragon. Half an hour later. After passing through several forests, they arrived at the 6th area. Boss. Fatty, who was eating dry food, saw someone coming out of the 7th area and exclaimed, it's that guy. Swish. Swish. Brother Chin and the other members turned around. The other small groups of martial artists gathered together also looked over. It's really him. So that guy didn't leave. He's still in the 1000 Beast Mountain range. The Blood Wolf mercenary group blocked the exit for 5 days and finally blocked him. Everyone discussed in low voices. Jun Changshao also noticed them and wondered, why are you gathered together? Didn't you explore? Explore my ass. They were all ready to return because the Blood Wolf mercenary group was blocked here and couldn't get out. Young friend. As soon as he walked over, Brother Qin lowered his voice and said, "The Blood Wolf mercenary group is blocking you at the entrance. Please go another way." Blood Wolf mercenary group. Jun Changshao remembered that before entering deeper areas, he had robbed the members of this group. Blocking me? How naive. Jun Changshao continued to walk straight. He didn't change his path because he was surrounded by dense forests. If he changed his path, he would have to take a long detour. This. Brother Qin was stunned. Didn't I say it clearly enough? Or did he not hear it clearly? Humph. The man said coldly. I kindly reminded him, but he still walked forward foolishly. He's really courting death. Leader. At the entrance of the area, a member of the mercenary group who had seen Jun Changshao saw someone coming out and hurriedly shouted, "That guy came out." Ho Kuan looked over and said coldly, "Let him out." Swish. The members blocking the entrance hurriedly stepped aside. Jun Changshao strode forward, but as soon as he entered the fifth area, he was immediately surrounded by more than 500 fierce-looking cultivators. Quite a big battle array. He smiled. Ho Kuan sat on a stone and carefully looked at the murderer who killed the two captains. Then he inserted his long knife into the ground and said lightly, "Boy, you killed my men. How do you want to die?" "If I can choose." Jun Changshao said seriously, "I want to die of old age." Chapter 341. If I can choose, I want to die of old age. After Jun Changshao said this sentence, more than 500 members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group were collectively stunned. Ha ha ha. After a while, everyone burst into laughter. This guy wants to die of old age. Oh, I can't breathe from laughing. Is this your last joke before you die? The small team of martial artists who quietly came from the sixth area heard Jun Changshao's words, and the corners of their mouths twitched. Don't expect to die of old age, just leave a whole body. However, with the temperament of the leader of the Blood Wolf mercenary group, it was difficult to leave a whole body after killing his subordinates. Seeing them laughing so happily, Jun Changshao's mouth twitched and said, "Is it funny? Kid?" Ho Kun held the hilt with one hand and said, "It's impossible to die of old age. Change the way to die. For example." Jun Changshao said. Ho Kun said, "Dismemberment by 5 horses, 1,000 cuts, skin and bones." Hearing these ways of death, the martial artists in the small team in the distance couldn't help but shudder. He was indeed ruthless. It's a bit cruel. Jun Changshao said. Of course. Ho Kun said, "If you kneel in front of me and beg for forgiveness, I can give you a very dignified death." Jun Changshao shook his head and said, "I don't kneel to the heavens or the earth. I only kneel to my parents who raised me." Not only himself. He hoped that his disciple had such integrity. Oh. Ho Kun stopped in front of his subordinate and said lightly, "I didn't expect you to be so arrogant." Leader. The subordinate next to him said, "I'll cripple him first, then press him to the ground and kowtow to you." Okay. Ho Kun said. From the moment he saw Jun Changshao, his eyes were filled with indifference, and he didn't put him in his eyes at all. The members who had narrowly escaped death sneered. If they faced Jun Changshao alone, they would definitely be afraid. Now that the leader and brothers were here, there was nothing to be afraid of. Go. Ho Kun waved his hand and said, "Cripple this kid." Yes. The subordinate clenched his fists and walked over with a smirk on his face as if he was teasing a little girl. Jun Changshao asked, "How are you going to cripple me?" That person stopped 2 meters in front of him and laughed sinisterly. "Of course, I'll crush your hand bones and break your leg bones. Then, I'll cut your tendons." I see. Schwa. That person suddenly reached out and grabbed. Paw. Crack. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. Since the Blood Wolf mercenary group members were surrounding them, Brother Chin and the others couldn't see it from afar. But when they heard the commotion, they knew that the kid was in trouble. Ah! Screams that sounded like pigs being slaughtered could be heard. Everyone was stunned. This scream didn't seem to have come from the white-clothed youth. Or was it because of the pain that her voice changed? Many martial artists hurriedly tilted their bodies and heads. With the help of the gaps in the crowd, they could finally see clearly. The person who screamed was not the young man in white, but a member of the Blood Wolf mercenary group. His hands were tightly clasped by Jun Changshao, and they were bent. It was obvious that his hands had been broken. Everyone's mouth twitched. In such a dangerous situation, he still dared to hurt a member of the Blood Wolf mercenary group. That guy was really fierce. Bang! Bang! Jun Changshao suddenly kicked out with his right foot and accurately kicked the ankle of the man who was being controlled. Crack! The crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard again. Ah! Ah! His subordinates' painful screams were raised by quite a few decibels. No wonder Jun Changshao asked how to cripple him. It turned out that he wanted to cripple him in the same way. Everyone shuddered at once. The bones of his hands and feet were all broken. Even if they could be fixed, it would greatly affect his martial arts in the future. Bang! Jun Changshao kicked the man again and sent him flying. Clang! Clang! In the next second, the members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group took out their swords and sabers. Their eyes were filled with murderous intent. Ho Kuen's face was gloomy and murderous. Kid, you dare to fight back? Fine, fine. He said coldly, even if you kneel down and break your head, I will cut you into pieces today. With that, he waved his hand. The members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group received the order and waved their swords and sabers. They were about to chop this guy into meat paste. Wait! Jun Changshao shouted. Everyone instinctively stopped. Ho Kuen said, any last words? Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, I will give you and your men a choice now. Give me and my men a choice. Ho Kuen was stunned and sneered. What choice? Jun Changshao said, be killed by me or become food for the beasts. These words caused everyone to be confused. Ha ha ha. Ho Kuen laughed and said contemptuously, Kid, you have the ability to kill so many of my brothers alone. If you want to die like this. Jun Changshao said, I really have the ability. He wasn't acting tough, nor was he bragging. He really did have the ability. Arrogant. Ho Kuen said impatiently, hurry up and chop this guy into pieces and throw him into the forest to feed the beasts. Just based on this sentence. Jun Changshao said coldly, I will feed all of you to the beasts today. Aya. Ho Kuen pretended to be scared and said, your eyes are scaring me to death. What are you waiting for? He returned to his cold expression and said, hurry up and do it. Leader. Leader. A subordinate pointed to the dark forest in front and said with a trembling voice, there. There are beasts. Ho Kuen kicked him in the butt and scolded, have you never seen a beast before? At this moment, he found that the other subordinates also showed fear, so he scolded, look at all of you, how are you going to follow me in the future? As he spoke, he turned his head and looked. The expression on his face suddenly froze and his mouth gradually opened. Ta! In the dark forest, a hurricane wolf stepped out of the whirlpool step by step. Wasn't it just a wolf beast? Had Ho Kuen and his subordinates not seen it before? They must have seen it before. However, there was not only one wolf beast, but a large group of them. Ta! Ta! Hurricane wolves with blue eyes walked out of the darkness. There were so many of them that it was difficult to estimate in a short period of time. What was even more terrifying was that in the wolf pack, there was a wolf beast with a majestic physique. It was obviously the king of wolves. Leader, A subordinate swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said with a trembling hand, "This is a hurricane wolf pack." Ho Kun said in disbelief, "Aren't such powerful wolves in the deepest part? How could they appear in the fifth area?" Whoosh whoosh. Suddenly, a cold wind blew from the side, causing everyone to feel a chill on their backs. He turned around stiffly and saw a lion beast with a body that seemed to be made of ice, walking out of the darkness while spitting out cold air. "This is," Ho Kun said in shock, "Ice Lion." Hiss. His subordinates all sucked in a breath of cold air. There was a hurricane wolf pack on the left and an ice lion on the right. The situation was very bad for him. "Everyone." Jun Changshao raised his hand and said, "Please be at ease and become their food." Pa! He snapped his fingers. Chapter 342. Awoo. The Hurricane Wolf King stood still and raised its head to give orders. Howl! Howl! 700 to 800 hurricane wolves roared and rushed over. The wind swirled under their feet, forming a turbulent wave. The members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group were so scared that their legs turned to jelly. There were many of them, but their average cultivation was only at the 5th or 6th grade of martial disciple. How could they be compared with the hurricane wolves that were at least at the 5th grade of martial disciple? Ho Kun could still keep calm. He said in horror, "Are you controlling these beasts? Or else?" Jun Changshao said. Ho Kun was even more frightened. "Impossible, impossible, how could a human control the Hurricane Wolf King and the Hurricane Wolves? Unless it was his contract beast. But it was a beast comparable to Wuzong at the peak. Without the same strength, how could he sign a contract with it? Could it be?" Ho Kun's heart was beating wildly. He was secretly shocked. He is Wuzong at the peak. Puchi. At this moment, the hurricane wolf in the front rushed over in the blink of an eye. It directly knocked one of his men to the ground and bit his throat. Whoosh! Whoosh! One by one, the hurricane wolves rushed over crazily. The members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group were like motionless scarecrows. They were easily pressed down and then mercilessly bitten. It was not that they didn't want to run, but they had no chance. After all, the hurricane wolves were wind-type beasts that were known for their speed. Ah, 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 screams resounded in the forest. The small teams in the 4th and 6th areas had already fled in fear. There were so many hurricane wolves and an ice lion. If they were targeted, even 10 lives would not be enough to kill them. "Boss!" The fat man said in horror, "How could such wolves that live in the depths of the mountains appear here?" "How would I know?" Brother Qin said. The man said in horror, "The hurricane wolves are faster than the gale wolves. If they target the Blood Wolf mercenary group, none of them will be able to escape. Forget about the Blood Wolf mercenary group. Let's hide quickly to avoid being discovered by the wolves." Brother Qin and his companions hurriedly retreated to the previous exploration area. The other small teams also hid and secretly prayed that they would not be discovered by the hurricane wolves. Otherwise, they would end up as food. 10 minutes later. There were no more screams coming from the 5th area because all the members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group had been killed by the hurricane wolves. Hundreds of corpses were strewn about chaotically, and blood had gathered into a river. The scene was extremely horrifying. The members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group, who were only martial disciples or primary martial masters, were not worth mentioning in front of the hurricane wolves. Seeing all his subordinates die, Ho Kun was completely powerless. This was because he was not only being stared at by the Hurricane Wolf King, but also by the Ice Lion. Although he had a 5th grade Wuzong, in front of a wind-type dire beast and an ice-type dire beast, it was really not enough. Hoo! Hundreds of hurricane wolves trotted over, surrounding Ho Kun with 3 layers of encirclement. 10 minutes ago, Jun Changshao was surrounded by his subordinates. 10 minutes later, he was surrounded by a pack of hurricane wolves. 10 minutes ago, he pretended to be scared in front of Jun Changshao. 10 minutes later, he was really scared in front of Jun Changshao. It was not an act at all. This turn of events was completely unexpected. Are you satisfied? Jun Changshao walked over and stopped in front of the Hurricane Wolf King. He gently stroked its mane without any expression on his face. Seeing this, Ho Kuen's mouth twitched violently. The Wolf King did not have any reaction when a human stroked its mane. If the Wolf King still did not believe that it was controlled by him, there was really something wrong with his brain. Young friend. Ho Kuen swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said in horror, I think there is a misunderstanding between us. When he was fierce, he called him young friend. When he was scared, he called him young friend. How annoying. Jun Changshao said indifferently, since it is a misunderstanding, kneel down and kowtow a few times, and I will spare your life. Plop. As soon as he finished speaking, Ho Kuen directly knelt on the ground and said, I was blind and offended you. Please be magnanimous and spare my life. Dong. 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 He kowtowed 3 times in a row, and it was very hard. His forehead was red and swollen. Jun Changshao was a little confused. This person was, after all, the leader of the mercenary group and a martial ancestor. How could he kneel just because he was told to? Did he have any dignity left? Ho Kuen cared about his face. However, he cared about his face because he was stronger than others. When he learned that his subordinates were killed by a young man, he felt like he was slapped in the face, so he brought his subordinates to kill. This was based on being stronger than others. When he realized that Jun Changshao could control the hurricane wolves, he lost his face instantly. As long as he could live. Face? Dignity? He could give up all of them. This was Ho Kuen's way of survival. It was also the reason why he gradually gathered a group of subordinates and dominated the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. A shameless person is invincible in the world. Jun Changshao sighed. Young friend. After kowtowing, Ho Kuen said, Are you satisfied? Jun Changshao walked over, looked down at him, and said, For a man like you who can bend and stand tall, if I let you go, who knows what will happen in the future. Ho Kuen's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly said, Let me live, and I will retire from the martial arts world. Clang! The sword was unsheathed, and a cold light flashed. Jun Changshao appeared behind Ho Kuen, and the middle-grade cold light sword was stained with a drop of blood. He said, Can you still retreat after entering the martial arts world? These words seemed to be spoken to himself. From the moment he transmigrated to the Falling Star continent and became the leader of the Iron Bone clan, it was equivalent to stepping into the martial arts world. Either he killed or he was killed. Swoosh! A sword mark appeared on Ho Kuen's neck. Deep in the blood, his eyes were filled with disbelief. He had already kowtowed. Why couldn't he let him go? And, his sword was so fast that he couldn't see his movements clearly. As expected, Ho Kuen tried hard to make a sound. It's an expert, plop. His body tilted and he fell to the ground. Hundreds of subordinates died, and so did Ho Kuen. From this moment on, the Blood Wolf mercenary group was eliminated from the martial arts world. To be honest, if he had shown a little more toughness, Jun Changshao might have spared him. But this kind of shameless and undignified behavior deeply disgusted him, so he gave him a dignified death. There's no movement. Could it be that the hurricane wolves have left? Fortunately, they didn't come here. Otherwise, everyone would have died. The small team that had been hiding in the 6th area for 4 hours didn't hear the wolf howls for a long time. They all gathered their courage and came out. Let's go. Brother Qin said, Let's go and take a look. Everyone walked toward the entrance of the 5th area in fear. When they saw the hundreds of corpses of the Blood Wolf mercenary group members, they all gasped. They had seen dead people and killed people. But it was rare to see so many people die in one area. Brother Chin frowned and said, "There's no corpse of the young man in white." "Brother Chin, why are you still caring about him?" Fatty hurriedly said, "Let's leave quickly, in case the hurricane wolves come back. We can't stay here for long." Brother Chin made a prompt decision and said, "Let's go." The other small teams had returned one after another. Those who were blocked outside the fourth area and wanted to explore had already slipped away. Because of the appearance of the hurricane wolves, it was destined that for a long time, no one would dare to easily enter this area. Thinking of a valiant mercenary group, including the leader, being killed, the people on the way back still couldn't calm down. Blood Wolf Mercenary Group. If he died in a pack of wolves, he would be worthy of the name, Blood Wolf. However, with so many corpses, why weren't they taken away? Could it be that the hurricane wolves only killed people and had no interest in eating people? Chapter 343. Brother Chin and the rest of the small team were frightened and walked out of the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. Perhaps the warriors who came out first had spread the news, but there was no one at the entrance to form a team. The hurricane wolves that were comparable to the martial master suddenly appeared in the fifth area and destroyed the Blood Wolf mercenary group. At this time, who would still stand at the entrance with a silly face? "Boss," Fatty said, "we came out alive." "Yeah, I can't believe it." The other members relaxed a little. The wolf's sense of smell was very sharp. To be able to hide in the sixth area without being discovered by them, this was definitely a narrow escape. Brother Chin muttered, "Speaking of which, it's strange. Why did the corpse of the white-clothed youth disappear?" The man said, "Maybe that guy's meat was fragrant. He didn't take the mercenary, but took his corpse instead." "In that case," Fatty said, "he's quite unlucky." Brother Chin shook his head and said, "The high-level vicious beasts have appeared in the low-level areas. Let's not go in for the time being." With that, he led the members back to the town. This trip was quite fruitful and could be used by everyone for a period of time. He did not consider entering the 10,000 Beast Mountain range for the time being. On the streets of Fugue town, many warriors were gathered. At this moment, they were all discussing what had happened in the fifth area. Half of their gazes were filled with fear, while the other half was filled with joy. Fear was because the hurricane wolves were high-level vicious beasts. Logically speaking, they shouldn't appear in the low-level areas. Joy was because the Blood Wolf mercenary group's leader and members were all dead. This meant that no one would come to rob them in the future. The hurricane wolves were getting rid of evil for the people. However, after discussion, everyone gave this honor to the white-clothed youth. If he hadn't killed the members of the Blood Wolf mercenary group, Ho Kun wouldn't have brought his men to block him, and the wolves wouldn't have been completely annihilated. "Sigh, what a pity." Brother Chin said, "I don't know the name of that hero, or else I would have given him a cenotaph." Fatty scratched his head and said, "Boss, why don't we name it after the white-clothed youth?" "All right." Brother Chin led the members to the clothing store, planning to buy a set of white clothes and then set up a stone tablet to collect the youth's corpse. However, when he passed by an inn and looked inside intentionally or unintentionally, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. His expression stiffened and his eyes were filled with disbelief. The fatty and the man were at a loss. Following their boss's gaze, they were also dumbstruck. In the dining hall of the inn, directly opposite the door, a young man in white was slowly eating his food and wine. "Boss!" the fatty exclaimed, Is it him?" Brother Chin hurriedly rubbed his eyes to make sure that he wasn't seeing things. He said in horror, It looks like him. Oh my God." Fatty was about to faint. "He's still alive. He's not dead." The corner of the man's mouth twitched. "The Blood Wolf mercenaries are all dead. How can he still be alive? Who is this him?" "That's right, our sect leader June." When the hurricane wolves appeared, Brother Chin and the others were scared away. Therefore, they didn't know that the high-level beasts that appeared in the low-level area were summoned by Jun Changshao. Ho Kun was the only one who knew the truth. Unfortunately, he was already dead. Boss. Fatty guessed, could it be that they look alike? That's possible, Brother Qin said. He did not dare to imagine that the white-clothed youth could escape from the pack of wolves. Therefore, the person who was eating inside might not be the same person even if they looked alike. Thinking about it this way, everything made sense. It wasn't that shocking anymore. After eating and drinking to their heart's content, Jun Changshao paid the bill and left. He saw Brother Qin and smiled. What a coincidence. We meet again. Gah. Everyone was stunned again. That voice and that sentence met again. It was definitely the white-clothed youth they met in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. He's not dead. He's really still alive. While Brother Qin and the others were shocked and felt like they were dreaming, Jun Changshao had already left. He walked out of the town and summoned the Hurricane Wolf King. Then, he rode on its back and headed back to Azure Sun County. Awoo! Hundreds of hurricane wolves followed behind. The scene was spectacular. Sect leader Jun insisted on keeping a low profile. Therefore, on the way back to the sect, he chose to travel through the wilderness. This trip to the 10,000 Beast Mountain range lasted for more than half a month. The resources Jun Changshao obtained far exceeded that of Death Valley. Not to mention the herbs and ores, he had refined more than 80 sprint talismans. Ho Kun, the leader of the mercenary group, was also very rich. Not only was there a large amount of gold, silver, and materials in his interspatial ring, but there were also more than 100 spirit stones. Awesome! On the way, Jun Changshao shouted. What was even more awesome was that he obtained a lot of resources. He even signed a contract with an ice lion and subdued the Hurricane Wolf King and its wolf pack. The long ancient road is long and endless. Only the camel is still busy. In the wilderness, Jun Changshao's joyful singing could be heard. Iron Bone Clan. In front of the mountain gate. Zhong Yi and the others stood facing the cold wind with interesting expressions. They had rushed over a few days ago, but why didn't they go in and drink the northwest wind here? Because there was a sect protecting array. Jun Changshao had forgotten that he had activated the array before he left. Therefore, Zhong Yi and his brothers could only stand in the wind in confusion. Everyone. Li Qingyang stood in the array and said, "Please go to Azure Sun Village and wait." "It's fine." Zhong Yi said, "It's the same if we wait here." As a righteous person, since he said that he wanted to join the Iron Bone clan, he would definitely show enough sincerity. Awoo! Suddenly, wolf howls came from the foot of the mountain. Zhong Yi's expression changed. He hurried to the stairs and looked down. He saw wolf beasts rushing up on whirlwinds. "This is," he said in shock, "hurricane wolves." Ah! The other members' expressions changed when they heard that. As itinerant cultivators, they naturally knew that hurricane wolves were high-level beasts. "Quick! Quick!" Zhong Yi said, "Hide." But, the mountain gate was only so big. Where could they hide? "It's over, it's over." Zhong Yi's heart was filled with despair. He and his brothers didn't die in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range, but died outside. This was too unlucky. Swoosh! At this moment, a hurricane wolf with a majestic physique was the first to rush forward, and then landed steadily in front of everyone. This was the Hurricane Wolf King. Just as Zhong Yi's expression became extremely ugly, he was shocked to see someone sitting on the back of the hurricane wolf. And that person was Sect leader Jun. Jun Changshao said, "Why aren't you going in? Why are you standing in front of the mountain gate?" Smack! He thought of something and slapped his forehead. I forgot, I activated the sect protection formation." With a thought, he temporarily removed the array. As for Zhong Yi and his brothers, they were still in a daze. That's not right. Wasn't Sect leader Jun's contract beast the Ice Lion? Why did it change to the Hurricane Wolf King, which was even stronger? Don't just stand there. Jun Changshao said, come in with me. Ah. Zhong Yi came back to his senses and hurriedly led his brothers in. Just as they entered, the hurricane wolves behind them rushed up and gathered outside the martial arts field, squatting obediently. Oh my god. Su Xiaoma hurriedly ran over and kept a distance from the group of majestic hurricane wolves. He said with a face full of shock, Sect leader, what's going on? Jun Changshao said, I've prepared mounts for you. Mounts? The disciples who surrounded them were instantly excited. This kind of wolf beast with a whirlwind gathering under its feet was simply too cool. If he could ride it out, it would definitely be eye-catching. Zhong Yi and his brothers' mouths twitched. To be able to use high-level hurricane wolves as mounts for disciples, how awesome was this? Chapter 344. The reason why Jun Changshao brought the hurricane wolves back to the sect was to use them as mounts for the disciples. If one could control this kind of extremely fast wind-type beast well, not to mention riding it out to show off, just traveling would be very satisfying. To put it bluntly, Jun Changshao felt that since he had the Hurricane Wolf King as a tool, he would definitely have to arrange it for his disciples. If he wanted to show off, he would show off together. If he wanted to travel, he would travel together. Where could he find such a considerate sect leader who was so considerate of his disciples? Su Xiaoma stood in front of a hurricane wolf, touched its fur with his hand, and grinned, so soft, so comfortable. Although the hurricane wolf was unhappy, it did not dare to show its ferocious side. Not to mention that Jun Changshao, who was controlling the Wolf King, was here. Just from the aura of this disciple, he was an existence that he could not afford to offend. That's right. If they really fought, Su Xiaoma would be able to kick it until it couldn't take care of itself. Since it had submitted to Jun Changshao, and the Iron Bone disciples were very strong, the hurricane wolf could only behave obediently. Shua. Su Xiaoma rode on it without hesitation, patted his neck, and said, let's go for a walk on the mountain. Roar. The hurricane wolf let out a low roar, stepped on the whirlwind, and rushed out of the sect with a whoosh. Seeing this, Li Fei and Tian Qi hurriedly rode one each and chased after it. Shua. Shua. Long Xiang, Yang Yuhua, and the others also chose one. For a time, dozens of hurricane wolves ran wildly at the stairs of the mountain gate, and then drilled into the depths of Iron Bone Mountain. This could be said to be galloping wolves, sharing the prosperity of the world, singing the joy in their hearts while drinking wine. Su Xiaoma and the others had strong cultivation bases, so they were fearless. The new disciples were generally weak, so they could only stand in front of the training field and look at the wolf beasts from afar. Of course, there were 2,000 Iron Bone disciples, and only 800 or 900 hurricane wolves. It was definitely not enough. Qingyang. Jun Changshao said, these people will stay in the sect for the time being. You're in charge of making the necessary arrangements. He really wanted to accept Zhong Yi as his disciple, but the number of members was already full. Therefore, they could only let these people stay for the time being and wait for the sect's construction to improve before recruiting them. Yes. Li Qingyang said, please follow me. All right. Zhong Yi and the others hurriedly followed after him, their minds still unable to calm down. He had never heard of a high-grade hurricane wolf being used as a mount for a disciple. He didn't even dare to think about it. Awesome. Too awesome. Brother Yi. Along the way, a young man exclaimed in shock, Sect Master Jun is too powerful. You can actually subdue the hurricane wolves. Zhong Yi said seriously, if not, can you defeat the Sacred Spring Sect? That's true, that's true. Everyone immediately felt relieved. As they followed Li Qingyang, they sized up the grand hall, and their hearts were filled with excitement. It was too unreal to become a member of such a valiant sect with great potential. Zhong Yi was also very shocked. He wasn't shocked by the hurricane wolves or the grand hall, but by Li Qingyang, who was leading the way. This person was younger than him by a few years. He couldn't tell from his aura that he was a martial master, but his intuition told him that if they fought, he wouldn't be a match for him. Especially those disciples who surrounded the hurricane wolves. Although his level was low, his aura was very strong. He was definitely not an ordinary martial disciple. This Iron Bone clan was full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Zhong Yi hadn't seen Xiao Ziji and Yi Xingqian, who were cultivating in the Tower of Experience. Otherwise, he would be deeply shocked. Phew. In the hall, Jun Changshao sat on the sect master's seat and reclined. Home is still the most comfortable. Ding. 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 Sect contribution points, 21002000. Ding. Sect contribution points, 22002000. Ding. Sect contribution points overflow. Hearing the notification, Jun Changshao was stunned. The system said, the host has left the sect. The disciple is still doing the mission. As the distance is too far, I can't receive the notification. Jun Changshao came to a realization and said, I was wondering why I didn't hear the notification when I was training in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range. So this is the reason. At that time, he was still thinking. After he left, those little bastards didn't do the mission because they were lazy. In fact, 10 days after Jun Changshao left, all the sect missions were completed by the disciples. As the host, he wasn't in the sect, so the notifications and rewards were temporarily piled up. This wasn't. Not long after he entered the sect, he erupted like a geyser. This meant that for sect missions, only the host was in the sect to receive the notification and receive the rewards. Of course. The disciples were not restricted. As long as they completed the mission, they would receive the corresponding rewards. The sect members are full, and the achievement value is also full. Then, Jun Changshao hurriedly opened the data panel. Sure enough, the upgradable button had appeared on the sect construction. This is a surprise for me. Without hesitation, he hurriedly pressed it. Ding. The sect construction is upgraded to level 5. Ding. The upper limit of sect members, contribution points, and achievement value has increased. Ding. The sect's Spirit Beast Pavilion has been activated. After the notification sounded, the system data panel suddenly changed. Sect name, Iron Bone Zheng Sect Leader, Jun Changxia Sect Level, 7th Rate Sect Construction, Level 5 Sect Functions, Medicine Refining Pavilion, Smithing Pavilion, Talisman Pavilion, Spirit Beast Pavilion. Sect Cultivation Technique, Yi Jin Jing, Divine Grade, Early Level. Cloud Steps, High Grade, Early Level, Telepathy, Middle Grade, High Grade. Sect Members, 2000500. Sect Contribution Points, 21005000. Sect Achievement Value, 2005000. Sect Main Mission, within 100 years, the upper limit increased from 2,000 to 5,000. Jun Changshao was very satisfied. After all, if he was full, he could buy it 5 times in the mid-level store. That was not the main point. The main point was the Spirit Beast Pavilion that was opened after the upgrade. Sect Leader. Ready to open it, Li Qingyang arranged for Zhong Yi and the others, walked into the main hall and said, how do we settle these wolf beasts? The sect leader brought nearly 1,000 hurricane wolves. Although they could be used as mounts for everyone, they couldn't just squat in the sect. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, we can draw an area for the hurricane wolves to live in. Right. His eyes lit up and said, we can let them settle down in the isolation array in the mountain. Firstly, it can be considered returning to nature. Secondly, it can protect the array and not be easily approached by outsiders. Good idea. Li Qingyang agreed. Jun Changshao immediately made the arrangements. Awoo. After the Gale Wolf King received the order, it raised its head and roared. Then, it led the wolf pack to the depths of Iron Bone Mountain and found a cave to settle down in the isolation array area. Not only could it be used as a mount, it could also be used to guard the house. It was definitely killing two birds with one stone. However, the system suddenly poured cold water on him and said, "These hurricane wolves have a big appetite. It will definitely cost the host a lot of money to raise them." This, Jun Changshao frowned. Such a powerful high-level beast, raising them was no different from raising a group of Tibetan mastiffs. Chapter 345. Although the Iron Bone Mountain was very big, it was not a dangerous place, and there were only animals inside. The so-called animals were ordinary tigers, leopards, jackals, and wolves. They were very fierce on Earth, but in the Falling Star continent, they could easily trample on level 3 to 5 meridians. In particular, the little dragon had been wandering in the mountains for a while and ate a lot. Now that the hurricane wolves had moved in, there was definitely not enough food. Without food, how could he guard the house? I have to think of a way. Jun Changshao began to think and came up with an idea. I can buy a lot of poultry, such as chickens, ducks, cows, and sheep, and put them all in the forest and let them reproduce on their own. The system said, "How much does the host have to buy to feed nearly 1,000 hurricane wolves?" Jun Changshao was silent. Some things could not be done just by thinking about it. Let's not worry about it for now. Throwing away distracting thoughts, he opened the data panel. He did not click on the Spirit Beast Pavilion, but first clicked on the Sect construction. Jun Changshao clearly remembered that after the construction was upgraded to level 5, more functions would appear. As expected. On the small panel, there were no more functions at the Spirit Beast Pavilion, but now there were many higher-level functions listed. Sect Construction Level 6, Spirit Pavilion. Sect Construction Level 7, Cultivation Technique Pavilion. Sect Construction Level 8, Lingyan Pavilion. Sect Construction Level 9, Divine Weapon Pavilion. There was a small line of words at the back. The subsequent functions can only be seen when the sect construction is upgraded to level 9. The corner of Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. Can't you just list it all out and let me see it clearly? Must you learn from the unscrupulous author in the martial arts world and keep me in suspense? The first 5 functions of the system could also be seen from their names. For example, the Pill Pavilion and Forging Pavilion. At a glance, it was obvious that they were related to pills and weapons. But what the hell was the Spirit Pavilion after level 6? Do you know? Jun Changshao said. The system said, I don't know. Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. Level 7 Cultivation Technique Pavilion. Jun Changshao could roughly guess that it was related to martial arts cultivation methods. As for level 8 Lingyan Pavilion, he was confused again. In the Tang dynasty, Li Shimin, in order to commend the meritorious ministers who had fought together with him, drew their portraits and hung them high in the pavilion. They were known as the 24 meritorious ministers of the Lingyan Pavilion. Jun Changshao murmured. Not bad, the system said. Could it be? Jun Changshao's eyes flashed as he said, there are 24 meritorious ministers of the Tang dynasty in this Lingyan Pavilion? You can summon them after it's activated? Those who could enter the Lingyan Pavilion were all famous officials and generals, such as Li Jing, Qin Qiong, Qing Yaojin, and Yu Qigong. If they were to be summoned, not to mention developing the sect, conquering the world would not be a problem. The system said, the host's imagination is really wild. What is the Divine Weapon Pavilion? Were divine weapons referring to divine weapons or divine soldiers and celestial generals? If it was referring to the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals, then it was similar to summoning. It obviously overlapped with the functions of the Lingyan Pavilion. The system was speechless. The host hasn't even reached level 6, and you're already thinking about level 9. Isn't it a little too early? You're right. Jun Changshao stopped guessing and tapped on the Spirit Beast Pavilion. A small panel appeared, but there was no 3D projection like the alchemy furnace or casting table. It was completely empty. However, there were a few lines of words at the bottom of the panel, respectively Beginner Wind Riding Technique, Beginner Fire Rain Technique, Beginner Thunder Crash Technique, Beginner Earth Technique, Beginner Beast Pill. Jun Changshao said with a confused face, "What does this mean?" "Tap on it to see the introduction," the system said. Jun Changshao did as he was told and tapped on the wind riding technique. The introduction appeared: Beast Skill, Beginner Wind Riding Technique. Effect, allows contracted beasts to comprehend the beginner wind riding technique. Requirements, Wind Type Beast 0 to 1, Wind Type Middle 9th Grade Cores 60 tenths. The Comprehend button that appeared at the back was grayed out. It was obvious that the conditions were not met and could not be comprehended. He tapped on the Beginner Fire Rain Technique again. Beast Skill, Beginner Fire Rain Technique. Effect, allows contracted beasts to comprehend the Beginner Fire Rain Technique. Requirements, Fire Type Beast 1/1, Fire Type Middle 9th Grade Cores 10 out of 10. The Comprehend button at the back was bright. Jun Changshao muttered, "Little Long Long is a Fire-type beast and obtained a Fire-type core in the 10,000 Beast Mountain range, so it meets the conditions to comprehend?" "That's right," the system said. Actually, it knew the function of the Spirit Beast Hall, but it didn't tell the host so that he wouldn't rely on it too much and would explore on his own. Jun Changshao tapped on the Beginner Thunder Crash Technique again. Because he had a contracted beast, the Purple Lightning Tiger Cub, which met the requirements for a Lightning-type beast, but didn't have 10 middle 9th grade Lightning-type cores, the Comprehend button was grayed out. Seeing this, Sect leader Jun finally understood. The so-called Spirit Beast Hall's function was to allow contracted beasts to comprehend skills. "The effect doesn't seem to be too good," Jun Changshao said. The system was speechless. "You haven't even let your contracted beast comprehend and you're already saying that it doesn't have much effect, isn't that too arbitrary?" "Alright." Jun Changshao returned to the Beginner Fire Rain Technique and said, "Then let's try it." He tapped on the Comprehend button. GA. The fire dragon lying on his back suddenly stiffened, as if it had entered a sluggish state. A moment later, the little guy came back to its senses, and its eyes were filled with surprise. "Strange. How did I comprehend a fire-type skill out of nowhere?" Jun Changshao said, "There's no change." Shwa. The little dragon suddenly rushed out and stood on the martial arts practice field. Its entire body instantly erupted with scorching flames. Jun Changshao said, "You want to change your battle form?" Hoo. The scorching flames were still rising crazily, and the surrounding temperature was rising rapidly. Swish. 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 Suddenly, balls of fire erupted from the flames and shot out in all directions. The scene was quite spectacular. "Could it be," Jun Changshao said in shock, "this is the Beginner Fire Rain Technique?" Bang! 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 The fireballs landed on the stone slabs of the martial arts practice field, and immediately exploded into dense charred pits. Jun Changshao said, "The strength of each fireball is at least 50,000 jin." The little dragon was at the middle first grade when it didn't activate its battle form. To be able to release a fireball of 50,000 jin was equivalent to an ordinary peak martial master. Incredible, incredible. The system said, "This is the Beginner Fire Rain Technique. It can allow the fire-type beast to quickly control it and use it directly." Awesome! Jun Changshao was amazed. Just by pressing the button, he could comprehend it without having to cultivate seriously. It was absolutely awesome. Hoo. The little dragon liked the Fire Rain Technique very much. It released flames again and bombarded the martial arts practice field. However, after 3 explosions, it fell to the ground exhausted and twitched all over. The beginner fire rain technique was very awesome. It could bring about explosive combat power, but it also consumed a lot of energy. Jun Changshao pressed the beginner earth technique again. The conditions showed, 1/2 Earth-type beast, 3210 Earth-type middle 9th grade crystal cores. The comprehension button was bright. That's not right. Jun Changshao said in shock, I didn't sign a contract with the Hurricane Wolf King, and the beginner wind technique didn't have a wind-type beast. How could the beginner earth technique have an earth-type beast? The system said, don't forget, the host still has a contract beast. There's more. Ice Lion. That was obviously an ice-type beast. How could it be related to the earth-type? No. Suddenly, Jun Changshao thought of something. His expression suddenly became dull, and he said in shock, Wild Boar Peppa. Chapter 346. Jun Changshao currently had 4 contract beasts. Apart from the little dragon, 2 of the other 3 relied on the gate palm ball and 1 signed the contract personally. The Ice Lion was an ice-type dire beast, there was no doubt about that. The little dragon and the violet lightning tiger corresponded to fire and thunder. Therefore, Peppa the wild boar was the only one who could comprehend the elementary earth technique. Relying on the elementary gate palm ball to subdue his first contract beast, Jun Changshao didn't have much of a presence. It was understandable. Other than being able to roar, it had no combat power at all. Look at the violet lightning tiger cub, the ice lion, and the little dragon, all of them were stronger than it. This means, Jun Changxiao's mouth twitched. Peppa the wild boar is an earth-type dire beast? Wrong. The system corrected him. It's an earth-type phantom beast. That's right. No matter how weak Peppa the wild boar was, it was still a phantom beast. Since the conditions are met, let it comprehend. Jun Changshao pressed the comprehend button and took out the elementary gate palm ball. Go, gate palm ball. Swoosh. Bang. Peppa the wild boar appeared on the training field and lay on the ground lazily, as if it hadn't woken up from its sleep. Jun Changshao was speechless. What was the use of summoning it when he was about to engage in a life-and-death battle with the enemy? Coo. Peppa the wild boar stood up slowly, its eyes full of confusion, as if it was saying, Master, why did you summon me? Jun Changshao almost couldn't help but use the green dragon crescent blade to kill it, fry it, and steam it. Don't just stand there. He ordered, release the skill you just learned. Peppa the wild boar understood. The laziness in its eyes disappeared and was replaced by seriousness. That's right. This is my contract beast. Sect leader Jun was very curious. What kind of skill was the elementary earth technique? From the name, it should be a defense-type skill, right? Puff. Suddenly, a sound was heard. Peppa the wild boar's buttocks emitted a foul air. Jun Changshao was instantly petrified. I asked it to release a skill and it released a fart. If you want to fart, then fart. What's the meaning of you lying on the ground sleeping again? Page Boar tried hard. However, even after trying so hard to fart, he still couldn't activate the elementary firm earth spell. Thus, due to his personality, he directly gave up. Sect leader, calm down, calm down. Sect leader, that's your contracted beast, how could you bear to kill it? Sect leader, put down the saber. We can talk this out. On the training field, Li Qingyang and the others desperately hugged Jun Changshao, who was holding the green dragon crescent blade. Peppa Wild Boar had no idea that its owner was going to kill it. It was still sleeping on the ground with a big bubble forming in its nostrils. Ah! Jun Changshao shouted. Bang! The green dragon crescent blade flew over and stabbed into Peppa the Wild Boar's big nose, waking it up instantly. It was so scared that it crawled into the gate palm ball. Sect leader Jun was so angry that he almost vomited blood. If he had known earlier, he would have thrown it more accurately and killed this useless contract beast. The other 3 contracted beasts were all rare ferocious beasts, each more powerful than the other. Only Peppa the wild boar disappointed Jun Changshao greatly. There was no other way. Since it was his first contracted beast, he could only keep it. Under the persuasion of the disciples, Jun Changshao calmed down and kept the gate palm ball in his spatial ring. He thought to himself, I won't take it out to embarrass myself in the future. Phew. Sitting on the sect leader's throne in the main hall, he opened the panel of the Spirit Beast Hall and clicked on the Elementary Beast Pill. Item, Elementary Beast Pill. Effect, a type of nutritious pill. After a ferocious beast takes it, it can quickly replenish its energy and will not feel hungry for 10 days. Requirements: 1,564,701 pounds of beast meat, 1 stalk of hunger grass. Fuck. Jun Changshao widened his eyes and said, this is good. System: it just poured cold water on the hurricane wolf's appetite and said that it would cost a lot of money, but it was slapped in the face again. There's a lot of meat, but it lacks hunger grass. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, I'll go to the city to take a look later. Qing Yang. He said, call Zhongyi and the others over. The construction had increased by 5 levels, and the upper limit of the members had increased. He had to recruit them. Yes. Not long after, Zhongyi and his 13 brothers came to the main hall. They registered their names one by one and stamped the seal of the sect. Everyone successfully became disciples of the Iron Bone clan. They did not disappoint Jun Changshao. Zhongyi, who valued friendship and loyalty, was not only a 7th-grade martial master, but also a spirit root of the highest grade. It would be very difficult to recruit such an outstanding genius. Ding. Sect member, 2014500. Ding. Sect contribution points, 21005000. Qing Yang. Jun Changshao said, give them uniforms and sect rules, and arrange rooms for the disciples. Yes. Li Qingyang left with Zhongyi and the others. Sect leader Jun muttered, this spirit beast hall can only allow one's contracted beast to learn skills. It doesn't seem to have much use. The use he was talking about was beneficial to the disciples. For example, the alchemy pavilion and the smithing pavilion could make pills and weapons that could be used by oneself and the disciples. The system said, whether the Spirit Beast Hall has much use or not depends on whether the host can find better products in the store. The construction and upgrade function was equivalent to giving a platform. Whether it could be used or not depended on the products in the store. Previously, Jun Changshao obtained the recipe for the mid-grade cold ray sword. Because of the smithing pavilion, he could forge it with enough materials. And this was the embodiment of its subsequent value. Understood. Jun Changshao did not complain anymore. He went to the medicine hall, put the matured herbs into his interspatial ring, and began to mechanically refine pills. Right. Why didn't I see Jiangya? Our great elder Jiang was now in the training tower, immersed in tempering his body, forgetting to eat and sleep. He had been forging in the smithing pavilion for a while, and his improvement was becoming more and more limited. A few days ago, Li Qingyang asked him to go to the training tower. When he entered, he felt 10 times the gravity and was shocked. The smithing pavilion was just the beginning. There were even stronger ways to temper one's body in the sect. It felt so good. So good. If it was not for the fact that the gravity was 10 times stronger according to one's cultivation level, and that the initial stage could only last for 2 to 4 hours, Jiangya would have wanted to spend 24 hours in the training tower. After Zhongyi and the others were distributed, they took the body-shaping pills and felt that their bodies and strength had increased by a lot. They were all dumbfounded. Brother E. A martial artist could not help but say, could this pill be the body-shaping pill refined by the AI family of Huyang City? Zhongyi suppressed his shock and said, I heard that after taking that pill, it will improve one's body and strength. What we ate must be the one. Oh my God. Someone said, many big forces can't buy the pill even if they have the money, but we ate one each. They did not know that the body-shaping pills that were hard to buy outside were countless in Jun Changxiao's interspatial ring. It was no exaggeration. It was no problem to give them to the disciples to eat like candy. Chapter 347. The next day. Jun Changxiao came to Qingyang City to buy hunger grass. What surprised him was that this herb was like cabbage that could be found on the streets. He bought thousands of them in a few random pharmacies. Hunger grass wasn't a rare medicinal herb. It could be easily collected in many forests. When martial artists went out to the wild to train, if they encountered a shortage of food, they would often collect it to satisfy their hunger. Therefore, it was named hunger grass. Later on, someone discovered that this herb was also liked by livestock, so pharmacies were equipped with it. It could be considered a cheap feed. After buying enough hunger grass, Jun Changxiao opened the spirit beast hall and began to refine a large number of beast pills. Refining beast pills was faster than refining beginner healing pills. In just a short while, he had refined dozens of them. Speaking of which, couldn't he just leave the matter of buying hunger grass to his disciples? Why did he have to do it himself? In fact, Jun Changxiao came to Qingyang City to buy materials. He also planned to find City Lord Xia to reminisce about the past. To challenge the Sacred Spring Sect and accompany him, he definitely had to bring gifts. Not much. Sending a few middle-grade healing pills was not a problem. Sigh. In the living room, after accepting the pills, Xia Guangkuan sighed. Jun Changxiao said, City Lord Xia, is there something bothering you? I just received the news. Xia Guangkuan said with a worried face, the 6th grade Jinyang County has started a war. Perhaps it will implicate our Qingyang County soon. Is that so? Jun Changxiao said. Although the Iron Bone had an intelligence agency, it was only in a small area. Therefore, they didn't know that the southwest Yangzhou was already in a state of war. Many high-grade counties had participated in the war, and it was very lively. The 9th grade Qingyang County couldn't be compared to the large counties. Once the flames of war spread, it would definitely be easily devoured. Sigh. Xia Guangkuan said, the world is not peaceful. The only ones who suffer are the common people. Jun Changxiao said, City Lord Xia has such a mentality. It is truly admirable. Those in power who wanted to achieve hegemony were all built on the bones of thousands. There were very few who truly cared about the common people. It's still the same. Jun Changxiao said, I, Iron Bone, am a citizen of Green Sun City. Whoever dares to invade, I will fight for my homeland. With Sect Master Jun's words, this Xia can rest assured, City Lord Xia said. Of course. He then added, if we can invite Blue Mountain Sect's people to temporarily guard Blue Sun City, we might be able to deter those malicious forces. Jun Changxiao immediately understood. He only felt relieved because of the alliance between Iron Bone and Sangshan Sect. Thank you, City Lord. Jun Changxiao said, if there really is a force that has designs on our Green Sun City, then even with the backing of the Blue Mountain Sect, it may not be of any use. Xia Guangkuan fell silent. Within the Jinyang County, there were 4 fifth-rate sects and 1 fourth-rate sect. If they really wanted to devour the Azure Sun County, they would definitely arrange for the Blue Mountain Sect first. Sigh. He was too naive. Jun Changxiao said, when war is inevitable, the only thing we can do is rely on ourselves to defend our homeland. Xia Guangkuan said bitterly, the Azure Sun County is too weak. How can we compete with those high-ranked counties? He felt inferior and helpless. After all, the difference in strength couldn't be made up with just words. Jun Changxiao said, although we may not be able to compete with the high-ranked counties, we still have to try. Otherwise, there will be no hope. That makes sense. City Lord Xia said, this Xia is preparing to strengthen the city and recruit martial cultivators to form an army. I hope that when the flames of war spread, we will have the strength to defend the Azure Sun City. That's fine too, Jun Changshao said. He didn't have any brilliant ideas about war, so he couldn't give any strategies. The two chatted for a while more before leaving. The mention of the Blue Mountain sect made Jun Changshao think, it's time to pay a visit to the 5th or 6th rate sections. Elder Ma had visited before. Since they were allies, it was reasonable for him to return the visit. Moreover, a 5th-rate sect would definitely have a more complete system. As the head of a sect, he naturally had to go and investigate. Returning to the Iron Bone Mountain, all the elementary beast pills had been refined. In order to test the effect, Jun Changshao summoned the foodie little dragon over and let it eat one. Needless to say, the effect was great. The originally gluttonous little dragon didn't go to the cafeteria the next day. It strolled around the sect and seemed to be in good spirits. Jun Changshao was speechless. If I had known that there was such a pill in the Spirit Beast Hall, why would I have gone to the 10,000 Beast Mountain range to find food? Awoo! Awoo! In the forest of the Iron Bone Mountain, waves of wolf howls could be heard. Then, they saw Su Xiaoma and Li Fei each riding a hurricane wolf and galloping forward. The two of them were speed-type martial cultivators and had wind-type beasts as mounts. They must be extremely happy. Jun Changshao placed the refined elementary beast pills in the wolf cave and said, it should be enough for them to eat for 3 to 5 months. Walking out of the wolf cave, he saw Su Xiaoma and Li Fei running around in the forest. He suddenly had an idea, why don't we create a wolf cavalry regiment? The war in the southwest Yangzhou had already begun, and it might even affect the Qingyang County. If he could nurture a group of wolf cavalry regiment, it should be of great use. Just do it. When sect leader Jun returned to the sect, he gathered the disciples and selected 100 disciples with decent cultivation. Not only were these people equipped with hurricane wolves, they were also equipped with conqueror spear, iron shield, and soft silk armor. Of course, sect leader Jun was not purely dealing with the upcoming war. He thought, why not set up a wolf cavalry hall? In the martial arts world, how could one not be stabbed? In the future, when the disciples went out and had conflicts with the disciples of other sects and developed into a fight, the disciples riding the wolf cavalry would undoubtedly be able to arrive faster. With this sudden inspiration, Iron Bone had a new wolf cavalry hall. Li Luoqiu was temporarily the hall master. Sigh. Hall Master Li said gloomily, another wolf cavalry hall master. Does sect leader think that I am not free enough? Capable people do more work. Jun Changshao said. Luoqiu was speechless. Jun Changshao said, from today onwards, you will be in charge of their training. Try to master the hurricane wolves in the shortest time possible. Sect leader suddenly created a wolf cavalry regiment and a wolf cavalry hall. Could it be that you want to develop an army to conquer the world and expand your territory? Li Luoqiu said. Jun Changshao said, I have no intention of conquering the world, but this world is not peaceful. No matter what, I have to make some preparations. At least I will have the ability to protect myself in times of danger. That's right. Li Luoqiu agreed. Living in a chaotic world, one should be cautious. It was very necessary to train a group of well-equipped disciples. Therefore, Hall Master Li not only had to train the members of the Drizzle Hall, but also the Wolf Cavalry Hall. Capable people really do more work. As for Jun Changshao, he went to Huyang City and bought a lot of hunger grass. Then he paid a visit to the AI family head. When he came back, he put the plan of going to Tsang Mountain Sect on the agenda. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.